parliamentary process, which is JPC, a Joint Parliamentary Committee, which is going to have 21 members from the Lok Sabha and 10 from the Rajya Sabha. It only needs Lok Sabha's agreement insofar as constituting the JPC is concerned, which has happened. We saw Minister Nityanand Rai moving, MOS Home Nityanand Rai moving the motion, and it's passed. And so obviously now the JPC would be constituted, and FCRA obviously is going to come based on JPC report, recommendations, and its incorporation in the Amendment Bill in the winter session of Parliament.
And also, Abhishek, we are also seeing that the FCRA bill is going the Waqf bill. When it was passed, it was also referred to a JPC first and then introduced in the Parliament once again, and then it was also passed. And it is also not just about the numbers anymore. We know that the NDA has a number to pass the bill. And what is your understanding of the bill being sent to the JPC? Because this has been one of the most looked after and very much contested bills in the monsoon session of the Parliament.
Well, Amrita, so if you look at it, the Waqf Amendment law went to the JPC but was passed. One nation, one election. The JPC is still deliberating and has sought an extension. So instead of this session, it's going to be coming in the winter session. As I said, JPC is a mechanism integral to the parliamentary system of legislation. So it's not, it sort of delays the legislation a bit, but then the government obviously is of the view that there is no hurry to bring this already existing statute with the amendments in the already existing law, because it's part of the statute anyway. And if there are concerns in the wider opposition, not specifically the Congress party, and if there are concerns amongst the stakeholders, of which the minority community in general and the Christian community in particular are a part, then obviously it can be listened to, acceded to, and the suggestions incorporated, and the law can be brought in the winter session. So it's not as much about delay as about the government wanting to be seen to be consultative, wanting to be seen to be accommodative, and taking on board legitimate concerns, taking on board positive suggestions, and hence this route that has been taken by the government of bringing in a JPC with the Minister of State in the Home Ministry, Nityanand Rai, moving the motion that a JPC be formed, and the Lok Sabha accepting it with a voice vote. And so now it's over to the JPC, which would be set up, as I said, 21 MPs of the Lok Sabha nominated by the Speaker, 10 members of the Rajya Sabha nominated by the Chair or the Vice President, and then they will deliberate, decide their own time, and possibly submit their report before the first week of the next session, which is the winter session of Parliament.
And also, Abhishek, help us understand what will really happen when a bill is sent to a JPC, because will there be discussion on changes or of the amendments as well? Because the key contention here is the proselytization clause here that's been added, and also some other clauses that also has been added in the amendments. So will there be any discussions on that during the committee discussions of this FCRA bill when it's being sent to the JPC as well?
It's not any one specific clause, but the entire bill in its entirety, you know, Amrita, clause by clause, section by section, subsection by subsection, and once that deliberation happens, stakeholders are called. In fact, the JPC is free to travel. So, for example, if the JPC thinks that the majority of those objections are coming in from Kerala, it can travel to Thiruvananthapuram or any other place in Kerala and you know, discuss with the affected communities, discuss with the those groups / organizations which are raising concerns, and based on whether the entire JPC with consensus or voice vote accepts those suggestions, those can be incorporated in the JPC report. Remember, ultimately it's again with the government to decide whether to accept those recommendations or not. But by and large, given the composition of the JPC, which is very representative of the Parliament, a report of the JPC and the suggestions therein are generally incorporated in the legislation, and then it is brought for the passage in Parliament. So, you know, the whole process of constituting the JPC, then it's meeting the quorum, voice vote, recommendations, incorporation of those recommendations, consulting the stakeholders, traveling, everything is taken into account. And once that happens, obviously the government would be possibly getting the report in the next session of Parliament and bringing it in the same very session with the changes incorporated and FCRA becoming law. I mean, that's how it works. That's how it's going to go from here on.
And also, Abhishek, we knew...
Amita, I'm handing it over to Niranjan. Niranjan is joining us in this broadcast. We continue this conversation. I've just received a phone call. Niranjan?
Can I just borrow you for 2 minutes, Abhishek? Yeah. Because we needed to just put this in context for our viewers, right? Needed to put it in context for our viewers. What happens to the FCRA bill when there are 31 MPs, 21 from the Lok Sabha, 10 from the Rajya Sabha? Lok Sabha Speaker gets to nominate who the 21 are, and the Rajya Sabha Chairman gets to nominate who the 10 MPs are. Now, of course, they will be chosen as per the strength of the Parliament, correct? Now, how does the choice happen? Just to give our viewers an understanding of what happens to the FCRA bill goes to JPC. How are the members chosen of this special panel, Abhishek?
So far as the Lok Sabha members are concerned, Niranjan, the Speaker's prerogative to nominate them. And in the case of Rajya Sabha members, 10, that's the chair's prerogative to nominate them. By and large, the process followed is that the JPC should be representative in terms of proportion of the parties in Parliament. So, for example, if the BJP has 30% of the seat share, then typically you would see out of 31 member JPC, roughly 30% members would be from the BJP. If the Congress has 20% members in the Lok Sabha, then you would see 20% of the members of the JPC from the Congress, coming in from the Congress. So that's how it goes. And similarly in the case of Rajya Sabha. So that's the way the composition is decided of a Joint Parliamentary Committee.
Now, finally, what are the chances of this bill being passed in the next session, which is the winter session? It's going to be ready by the first week of winter session. Will it be passed in the winter session?
Well, as I understand it, Niranjan, the bill could have been passed even in this session of Parliament with a voice vote, given the majority that the government enjoys. But I think the government wants to send across a message that it is accommodative, that it is willing to listen to the stakeholders, and that it is willing to follow a broader consultative process. And that's why they have agreed to the opposition demand in the BAC, which is the Business Advisory Committee meeting that took place yesterday, to refer the bill to a JPC so that whatever concerns the opposition has, it can be incorporated in a JPC report and then, of course, reflected in the amendment bill. And then, of course, my understanding is it can be brought in the winter session of Parliament itself.
Last question, is this a win-win situation for everyone? Because the opposition, or some parties wanted FCRA bill completely withdrawn. Congress, TMC, SP wanted it withdrawn completely. That did not happen. Some parties took the mid-path in the opposition, asking for it to go to the JPC. That has happened. For the government, is this a win-win because they can take sections of the opposition on board and yet pass it with a simple majority?
Well, absolutely. So it's not about win-win. I think it's about signaling and sending across a message. As I said, Niranjan, the government could have anyway, because this is the bill that needs a simple majority, not a special majority. The government could have passed it even otherwise with a voice vote. The government has its majority now in both the houses of Parliament. So it's not something for which the government had to make a compromise or seen to be making a compromise. It's not about a compromise, or as we saw on some networks saying that the government has backpedaled. No, it's not that.
That's a spin.
Yeah, that's a spin, but wrong spin, or perhaps wrong understanding, because the government is not compromising or backpedaling on the changes that it wants to bring. It's just that the government wants to be seen to be accommodative and to be seen to be, consultative in its ways, and that's why this process of JPC has been agreed to jointly, as I said, in a Business Advisory Committee. It's a bipartisan decision, as it happens in the BAC, and that's being followed now with the formation of the JPC, which would submit its report in the winter session.
Finally, what are the chances of any changes being made to the bill by this JPC?
For sure, because as I said, Niranjan, JPC by itself is a bipartisan body with equal representation from the opposition. So So whatever suggestions are made and put in the report, it is believed or assumed that this is after a broad consensus. So most of those suggestions, unless it is flagged by agencies, for example, unless the government, some department of the government flags concern that this goes against the very spirit of the changes being brought in, those suggestions are in a way accepted, incorporated, and a new amendment bill brought in is how it will go on from here on.
Okay. Thank you for that, Abhishek.
I'm still here, I'm not going anywhere, just a phone call.
Okay. So another aspect that we just want to highlight right now, while the motion to send the bill to the JPC was being presented by Nityanand Rai, the Minister of State, Home, the junior minister in the Home Ministry, there were attempts made by some in the opposition to ask why the Home Minister himself was not presenting this motion. You saw KC Venugopal and the Congress party get up and ask when the bill was listed under the name of the Home Minister, why he was not present. But I think the Home Minister has made it clear earlier this afternoon that he will be ready for a debate starting 3 p.m. So the Parliament has been adjourned now. In perhaps 15 minutes from now, you have the Parliament reconvening and perhaps fireworks in Parliament when Home Minister Amit Shah said that he would be seated in Parliament from 3 p.m. if required until 3 p.m. tomorrow. He said he's going to be inside Parliament, listening into everyone, responding to each one of them. So I think we're just getting started and building up to this all-important 3 p.m. session. Back to you for now. Amrita.
Right. Thank you for all of those updates and details. And that's the latest that we have been tracking, that the FCRA bill has been sent to the JPC after Lok Sabha votes in favor of it being referred to a Joint Parliamentary Committee. That's the latest that we are tracking for now. And coming up after a short break, we'll go more into this as well. The FCRA bill has now been sent to a Joint Parliamentary Committee after the Lok Sabha has voted in favor of it being referred to a JPC. It's comprising of 31 MPs. Coming up next after a short break.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है? आलू चाट या फ्रूट चाट, स्वाद बनाए चमकी चाट।
क्या बात है? स्वादिष्ट पकोड़े और परेशान, अरे चमकी चाट है इसकी जान।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चमकी चाट।
AU करंट अकाउंट के साथ मिलता है फ्री UPI QR ओवरड्राफ्ट फैसिलिटी और एक ही ऐप से बैंक के सारे काम। AU
सोच बदलो और बैंक भी।
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
खुद अपनी आंखों के सामने लोगों को मरते शहीद होते देख के मैं आया हूँ। बहुत हालात ख़राब हो चुके हैं, बहुत हालात ख़राब हो चुके हैं। इंटरनेशनल मीडिया को, सारी दुनिया को टैग करें और हम तक पहुँचाएं यार। इस वक्त यहाँ पे एम्बुलेंसेस की तादाद जो है वो कम पड़ गई है, गाड़ियाँ कम पड़ चुकी हैं। लोग जो है अपने ज़ख्मियों को अपनी मदद आपके तहत, कोई इधर से पकड़ा हुआ को उधर से, और रोड पे लहू ही लहू है। लगातार फायरिंग जारी है। ऐसा लग रहा है कि हम फलस्तीन में हैं कसम से। इन्होंने वो हालत बनाई हुई है। फोर्सेस की फायरिंग से जो है ना, इस वक्त बेशुमार नौजवान शहीद जख्मी हो चुके हैं और बेशुमार लोग शहीद हो चुके हैं। देख सकते हैं ये पाकिस्तानी फोर्सेस की बर्बरियत और जो है ना पाकिस्तानी फोर्सेस की फायरिंग से जो है ना, ये देखें किस तरह नौजवानों को, किस तरह स्ट्रेट फायर मारे जा रहे हैं नौजवानों को। ये देखें पाकिस्तानी फोर्सेस ने स्ट्रेट फायर किए नौजवानों को।
big breaking news coming in at the moment. Union Home Minister Amit Shah has written to Lok Sabha Speaker saying that he is ready for debate on the NEET exams. In fact, he has written and he has said to the Lok Sabha Speaker that the Union Home Minister seeks debate, and he also goes on to say that debate and dialogue are the only way in democracy, and Union Home Minister says that he is ready for discussion on the NEET. In fact, the Parliament is the right place for debate to hold discussions on the NEET as well, and in fact earlier he has also publicly stated that he is ready to debate and discuss on every question that the opposition has, and he will be listening to them and he will respond to each and every question, and that it will be starting very shortly as the Lok Sabha reconvenes at 3 p.m. today. And this in the latest, he has also written to Lok Sabha Speaker, and he once again reiterates the point that he is ready to debate and discuss on the NEET exams and the protests that happened in the past, in the initial weeks of the Parliament session. And also he is continuing to say that the debate and dialogue is the only way in democracy, and Parliament is the rightful place for this debate to happen. And this, as the Union Home Minister Amit Shah will be speaking on the Lok Sabha in a very short while from now. Coming up after a very short break, Union Home Minister Amit Shah says that he is ready to debate and discuss on every question that the opposition has for him in the Parliament that reconvenes very short while from now. Coming up next.
कुछ तो सस्ता लो,
सब बढ़िया लो।
इसमें क्या खास बात है?
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात।
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 11th year, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, mass-comm, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
सैंडविच लस्सी और छाछ।
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट, ड्राई फ्रूट और दही बड़े। चमकी चाट से स्वाद बढ़े।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चमकी चाट।
I wake up wearing someone else again. Don't let it slip. I'm losing. I don't wanna be safe anymore.
Finding myself. That's my moment of Sarah.
Our pure Shahi Paneer Masala. Delicious, healthy, every day.
Umpteen number of times the Modi government also has taken resort to, whenever the bills have come where you need to take all stakeholders involved on board, and the government from the day one has said that insofar as FCRA is concerned, we can speak to anyone and everyone and convince them that this is not targeted at them. For example, the Home Minister himself has met not once, twice Christian delegations and told them that it is not targeted at them, and that even if you look at it, the contributions to church or churches in the country or missionaries just about 15 or 17%. And I have spoken to people in the agencies and they say that it's, our law also needs to be made compatible with, for example, the FATF.
Yes.
Likely, Niranjan, I can tell you that the bill might be brought in tomorrow. And
Coming up after a very short break, Union Home Minister Amit Shah says that he is ready to debate and discuss on every questions that the opposition has in the Parliament, which is likely to convene very shortly from now. Coming up next.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
सैंडविच लस्सी और छाछ।
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट। अब बताओ, स्वाद आया?
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चमकी चाट।
कहानी इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं,
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा। रुंगटा स्टील टीएमटी से बना।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील टीएमटी बार एकदम सॉलिड।
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
खुद अपनी आंखों के सामने लोगों को मरते शहीद होते देख के मैं आया हूँ। बहुत हालात ख़राब हो चुके हैं, बहुत हालात ख़राब हो चुके हैं। इंटरनेशनल मीडिया को, सारी दुनिया को टैग करें और हम तक पहुँचाएं। यार इस वक्त यहाँ पे एम्बुलेंसेस की तादाद जो है वो कम पड़ गई है, गाड़ियाँ कम पड़ चुकी हैं। लोग जो है अपने ज़ख्मियों को अपनी मदद आपके तहत, कोई इधर से पकड़ा हुआ को उधर से, और रोड पे लहू ही लहू है। लगातार फायरिंग जारी है। ऐसा लग रहा है कि हम फलस्तीन में हैं कसम से। इन्होंने वो हालत बनाई हुई है। फोर्सेस की फायरिंग से जो है ना इस वक्त बेशुमार नौजवान शहीद जख्मी हो चुके हैं और बेशुमार लोग शहीद हो चुके हैं। देख सकते हैं ये पाकिस्तानी फोर्सेस की बर्बरियत और जो है ना पाकिस्तानी फोर्सेस की फायरिंग से जो है ना ये देखें किस तरह नौजवानों को, किस तरह स्ट्रेट फायर मारे जा रहे हैं नौजवानों को। ये देखें पाकिस्तानी फोर्सेस ने स्ट्रेट फायर किए नौजवानों पे। ये देखें लोग कैसे छोड़ो। हमारे बहुत सारे भाई जख्मी हो चुके हैं। अल्लाह की जात हमारे भाइयों की हिफाजत करे, अल्लाह की जात हमारे भाइयों की हिफाजत करे। क्या सूरत आली? सूरत बहुत बुरी है, सबको मारे जा रहे लगातार। पिछले तक 3 बंदूकों हेडशॉट की इन्होंने किया है।
A big breaking news coming in at the moment. Republic has accessed the Justice Yashwant Verma report. This is the 126-page report of Justice Yashwant Verma cash scandal. In fact, Republic has accessed the whole report of this cash scandal. And there it says, in one of the order also, it says the substantial unexplained 500 rupees note was found at Justice Verma's storeroom. This is regarding the cash scandal of the former judge Yashwant Verma, and this is the report that says that there has been a 500 rupees notes that was unexplained, and it was found in his storeroom. I am now joined by my senior executive editor Abhishek to give us more information in this. Abhishek, tell us more in what does this exactly mean? This is regarding the cash scandal that was stored in the storeroom of Justice Yashwant Verma, and a major scandal. In fact, tell us more on that, Abhishek.
Well, you see, this is a report that's been submitted to Parliament just a while back, 126 pages in Part A of the report and 64 pages in Part B or Volume 2 of the report, which is essentially about annexures, a total of 186 pages, 188 pages, and 190 pages actually. And then you have the conclusions part of the report. I'm just going through that as of now, Amrita, and it says substantial unexplained rupees 500 notes found at Justice Verma's storeroom or residence. We have pages, we have some key consolidated findings in the report, and I can read it for the benefit of viewers. And it says that Article 1 is proved, which is that substantial unexplained rupees 500 denomination currency notes were found in the storeroom situated within the official residential premises at 30 Tughlaq Crescent, New Delhi. The judge failed to furnish a satisfactory explanation regarding the presence, source or ownership thereof. Now that's a very significant conclusion drawn by the committee, which is that A, the currency was found, the money was found, and B, that the judge failed to explain why they were there or satisfactorily explain regarding the presence, why they were there, from where they had come, what was the source, who owned them. Then Article 2 is proved, as the report says, which is that material evidence was not secured or preserved. The evidentiary condition of the storeroom was disturbed before lawful sealing and inspection, and the later non-availability of the currency notes remains unexplained, which means the committee goes on to conclude that there was destruction of evidence, that there was tinkering with the scene of crime, that between the original videos of the moment of finding of the burnt cash stash and then subsequent missing of the remaining currency notes, the judge couldn't explain why or how this has happened. It goes on to say the finding rests on failure to preserve, acquiesce in disturbance through the establishment attached to the premises and resulting loss of material evidence, and not upon proof of personal physical removal by the judge. Now what this means is that there has been complete failure to preserve the scene of crime. Not only that, there has been active interference amounting to destruction of evidence, and not upon proof of personal physical removal by the judge. So they say that maybe the judge himself did not remove the evidence from there, but somebody did, but the judge failed to secure the scene of crime. Then it says the explanation furnished by the judge, particularly the reply dated 22nd of March, and the subsequent stand taken, did not exhibit the candor, transparency and institutional responsibility expected in the circumstances. Now that's a scathing, so to say, of the conduct of Justice Verma. It says that the explanation furnished by the judge did not exhibit the candor, transparency and institutional responsibility expected of the honorable judge. It remained evasive and unsatisfactory when tested against the evidence of independent official witnesses and corroborative material. What this means is that not only that Justice Verma failed to explain with any satisfaction as to how the currency notes came there, who brought them there, who owned them, if not Justice Verma, but also that there was active interference with the spot to destroy evidence, and then subsequently the conduct of Justice Verma was not satisfactory.
कोई पारित हो गया, आप रुकिए नहीं देखिए, ये तो आपकी भावनाएं रखी गई पार्लियामेंट्री प्रैक्टिस में। औजला साहब नहीं, व्हाट डू मीन? इफ गवर्नमेंट हैज इटसेल्फ मूव या रेफर्ड टू एनी बिल टू द ज्वाइंट पार्लियामेंट्री कमेटी, ये आपके लिए स्कोर है, आपके लिए स्कोर है, और आप कह रहे हैं इसके लिए नहीं है। आइटम नंबर 30 खान और खनिज विकास और विनियमन संशोधन विधेयक 2026 के लिए माननीय मंत्री जी।
Honorable Chairperson, sir, I raise to move that the Mines and Mineral Development and Regulation Amendment Bill 2026 to further amend the Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Act 1957 be taken into consideration.
प्रश्न ये है कि विधेयक पर विचार किया जाए, जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहें, जो सदस्य विरोध में वो ना कहें। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। अब विधेयक पर विचार करने हेतु प्रस्ताव को स्वीकृत किया गया अब सभा विधेयक पर खंडवार विचार करेगी। आप सबसे मेरा अनुरोध है, एक मिनट सुन ले जयप्रकाश जी सुन ले। आप सभी से अनुरोध है कि अगर आपने इस पर संशोधन मूव किया है और आप लोगों ने अगर इस पर अमेंडमेंट मूव किया है तो मैं आग्रह करूंगा, आई एम रिक्वेस्टिंग टू ऑल द
Viewers, the major breaking news coming in at the moment. Republic accesses the 126-page report of Justice Yashwant Verma. The cash scandal, in fact, the Republic has accessed the whole 126 report. This is regarding the huge cash scandal that was found in his storeroom where it was partly burnt as well. And in this report, in fact, the report committee also says that there is no satisfactory answer that was given by Justice Verma with regards to this appearance or this disappearance of this cash that was found in his storeroom. And there are several proof that the committee has also stated that there are 3 proof that with how the cash was. The article 1 is proved, the 3 articles that has been proved in the report continues to say that there's been substantial unexplained 500 rupees cash notes that was found in the storeroom that was situated within his official premises in New Delhi. In fact, it says that the judge had failed to furnish a satisfactory explanation on that as well regarding its presence and how it was there in the storeroom in his official premises. Also, it continues to say this is the findings of the report of the committee of the report of the committee. In fact, the Article 2 is also proved, which means that the material evidence was not secured or preserved. And there could be the evidentiary condition of the storeroom was disturbed, in fact, before lawful sealing or inspection. And that has also been proved in this as well, in this Justice Verma cash note scandal. And Article 3 is also proved. So this is another Article 3 in this committee report that says that the explanation that was furnished by the judge, particularly to a reply that he wrote on March of 2025 and the subsequent stand taken, it did not exhibit the candor, transparency and institutional responsibility expected in the circumstances, and the response in fact remained evasive and unsatisfactory when tested against the evidence of independent official witnesses and corroborative material. So these are some of the findings of the report that has stated on that. I'm now joined by my senior executive editor to give us more information in this. It's a major scandal, and the report also continues to say that all of the articles have been proved as well. And earlier you were talking about how this could even mean that there was destruction of evidence as well. Abhishek, please continue to say and what this could mean for the former judge as well.
Well, yes, Amrita. So the operative part of the report you have already mentioned. This is scathing, to say the least, about the conduct of Justice Verma. And continuing further from where you left, the committee has submitted this report and it has been given to the Parliament. The operative parts are, they make a very scathing comments about the conduct of Justice Verma from the time that the original cash stash was found to the destruction of evidence, as the committee finds that there was active interference, so to say, at the spot, which amounted to destruction of evidence, and the finding rests on failure to preserve acquiescence in disturbance, which means it says that Justice Verma himself might not have been physically present, but he allowed the active interference to happen, and then subsequently his conduct did not exhibit candor, transparency and institutional responsibility that is expected of him in the given circumstances. The committee finds that the explanation furnished by the judge was evasive, incomplete, and misleading. It was evasive because it did not engage with the central circumstance of substantial currency notes seen by independent officials inside the storeroom. It was incomplete because it did not disclose the factual steps allegedly taken by him, the details of inquiries made, the answers received from his staff or household members, or any action taken to preserve the site or complain of foul play. It was misleading in effect because the earliest broad denial gave way to successive alternative hypotheses, none of which was substantiated when opportunity to lead defense evidence was available. Now, obviously, Justice Verma cannot be impeached because he has resigned. But what is important is that had he continued to be, in office, these kind of strictures, this kind of commentary that has come in about his conduct would have made him liable for impeachment, is what I can say. And we can continue to reflect some of the elements from this report. The committee is conscious that the judge was not required to prove his innocence, but where positive factual pleas were raised by him, namely conspiracy, planting, staff involvement, foul play, fake currency notes, or removal by public officials, the committee could not be expected to accept such pleas without material. The presenting side had led its evidence. 9 witnesses had been examined, documents and electronic material had been marked, cross-examination had been fully availed of. The matter had therefore reached the stage of defense evidence, yet no list of defense witnesses or affidavits in lieu of examination in chief were filed. What this basically means is Justice Verma adopted shoot and scoot philosophy in his defense. He said that this is politically motivated. He said that these notes have been planned, this currency has been planned or planted, that somebody else has removed it, not him, and that there is foul play. But when he was asked to present, evidence in support of what he said, he couldn't provide anything. And against which the government side had 9 witnesses, officials, and the testimonies held their ground, which means that Justice Verma tried to mislead, evade, and even take subterfuge of lies. But when he was confronted with facts, he withdrew from the proceedings. That's what the committee says. This is really scathing. This is going to be a sad commentary on higher levels of judiciary. The judiciary might say this is just one-off and one person, and for one black sheep you cannot paint the entire judiciary in a bad light. But obviously, it is up to now Justice Verma to really, he was provided an opportunity, he chose to withdraw, and in that scenario, we have to believe the conclusions of this committee, which has had 3 justices as its members. Presiding officer Justice Arvind Kumar, he is the judge of the Supreme Court of India. Then Mr. Justice Shri Chandrasekhar, he is Chief Justice of the Bombay High Court, and Mr. B.V. Acharya, he is a senior advocate of the Karnataka High Court, as both of them as members. And this is submitted to the Parliament, and this is essentially a damning report insofar as Justice Verma's conduct subsequent to the cash stash found from his residence, or finding of the cash stash from his home is concerned. Amrita.
As you mentioned earlier, was introduced in the Parliament today, and this is coming after a committee was formed on that as well. Right. We have a guest joining us right now on the phone line. We have Kapil Shankla, he's the advocate of the Supreme Court, joining us on the phone line. I'd like to take more details and information on that and your comments in this also, sir. This is regarding the Justice Verma cash scandal, where a fire broke out and there was several cash notes that was found in his official premises, and it was burnt, partially burnt. And this is a report, and in this particularly it says that there is no satisfactory response that was given regarding that notes, those notes that was found in this or in his official premises. What do you make of this report that has been accessed at this point?
Thank you. You see, Justice Verma was the former judge of the Allahabad High Court, and then he was sent to the Delhi High Court. And as was rightly mentioned, there was a huge amount of cash that was found stashed, and many of those were burnt, which were discovered from his house in the outhouse. His defense was that it wasn't him, it's a conspiracy, somebody else must have planted it, etc., etc. Now, under the Judges Inquiry Act, if I'm not mistaken, the committee was constituted, which had to present the inquiry report before the Lok Sabha. And the panel was constituted by the Supreme Court Justice Arvind Kumar, a judge of the Bombay High Court, Justice Chandrasekhar, and a senior advocate, Mr. Acharya. Now, the report is very clear. The report is very clear that the defense of conspiracy falls. There is no meeting of mind. Nothing has been shown as to when, under what context, and why the conspiracy took place. Who were the co-conspirators? And also, it is important to understand that this inquiry, under the Judges Inquiry Act, has been based on oral as well as documentary evidence, which were all recorded during the proceedings. And Justice Verma was also given an opportunity to meet the evidences that were put against him. So therefore, today, as far as this issue is concerned, it has been tested under the criminal jurisprudence system, under the laws of India, with adequate opportunity given to the person who is accused of a certain offence. And the law, the inquiry, and the report is very, very clear. And in such a case, I don't think now we need to actually discuss this. There is no controversy left. The money, according to the report, was of Justice Verma. It was unaccounted, unexplained cash, and that subsequently he tried to burn as well as destroy the evidence, which is also a part of the report, if I'm not mistaken.
Also, sir, we know that the Justice Verma has since resigned, and during that time there was a criminal proceeding that was done against him as well. And what could this report mean for him now? And we know that this does not, will there be any action after this, is my question to you, sir.
You see, the fact is that once a judge resigns, then as far as the action against him in the capacity of a judge no longer can be taken. We only know of one prior instance. I think this was Justice Ramaswamy, if I'm not wrong, against whom the parliament, there was supposed to be an impeachment motion to be moved in the parliament, and that failed because he too had resigned at the very last moment. So as far as impeachment is concerned, that being a major issue which would perhaps have brought the legislature and the judiciary to some, I will not say logjam, but to some issues that would require ironing out, that has gone. Now, as far as the issues is concerned, whether an FIR, whether further inquiry, whether any action will be taken, can only be taken after the permission from the Chief Justice. As you are aware, that in cases of administration officers, and especially in the judiciary now, you have to take permission from the sanctioning authority. In this case, the sanction after the three judges' judgment is with the Chief Justice, and no action or criminal case or FIR can be filed without their permission. So we can only wait and watch. Important part is that the inquiry has been very fair, has been impartial, has been very clear. There are no questions that can be raised that because it is the judges are trying to, it cannot now be alleged. There was a conspiracy theory going around saying that the judges are, of course, going to protect their kind. That has not been done. I think it's fair, very impartial inquiry, and I think we should be very proud of our system.
And also regarding the report committee's remark saying that the response given by Justice Verma on the amount of cash of 500 rupees that was found in his official residence was not exactly satisfactory. What do you make of this? Because that could also mean there was a fire that broke out on that. And then, well, we also have my senior editor joining us, senior editor Rhythm Bhatt was joining us to give us more insights into this. Rhythm, can you take it further into what this report means? And we want to know if there could be any other action, because we know that Justice Verma has since resigned, and this report does say that the response that he gave in 2025 regarding this amount of cash that was discovered was not satisfactory.
I believe I want to tell my viewers the first thing that's coming through. I have spoken to senior advocates and they have said there can definitely be action in this case even if the judge has resigned. Knowing the report that's going to be indicting him, the judge had resigned, but I am told even then he can be impeached, and this is the top jurists. Pardon, there's top jurists of the country who are saying this. I want to also tell you that I want to read out from the report. Nalin Kohli is also joining me on the phone line. Nalin, you're a senior advocate in the Supreme Court, a BJP leader. This 126-page report indicts Justice Yashwant Verma. The only question I want to ask you, can there be impeachment?
Well, certainly that's something that could be considered, but in any case, he has been, he has resigned. The report holds him guilty, so there are two aspects to anything. One is the judge impeachment, but once resigned, then obviously, what are you going to do an impeachment for? The impeachment word, in fact, is the removal. So in technically speaking, if you have stepped down, what will be the removal? Because he no longer holds office as a judge. When you are appointed a judge, you enjoy certain constitutional immunity. Those immunities and privileges would continue as long as you are holding the office of a judge, even if there's a question or a cloud over you. At the point when you resign, you become a citizen, an equal citizen as everybody else, without any privileges or without any protection. So then what assumes significance is, what is the course of law for you? If you are in office, the removal through the constitutional process, which is, as the word used is often impeachment, in that removal process, you have to take it before the Houses of Parliament. Now, you have had through history several such occasions, but judges have resigned at the nick of time and saved themselves the sort of embarrassment of Parliament having removed them. Now, once you are an ordinary citizen not holding office, then the criminal law procedure will also kick in. He enjoys the same sort of protections as every other citizen, which is innocent unless proven guilty. But in this particular case, what's important to note is that cash was found in a burning condition within the premises of his residence, maybe the outhouse, but it is within the perimeter of the whole residence in which he is, which is a protected place in terms of security. So the first question that comes is, you have to explain how did large sacks of money arrive there? This was the question that assumed significance, and this is the question which assumes centrality. Now, Justice Verma can say anything, but then finally the case would have to be trialed on the principles of criminal law, which is beyond reasonable doubt. It's not a case of preponderance of probability. So here the prosecution, as and when that prosecution comes into effect in terms of the criminal proceedings, will certainly have to prove that yes, this is an open and shut case against him. He will of course try to prove, or rather disprove the prosecution case by trying to say, no, it is not beyond reasonable doubt. Maybe there is a conspiracy angle or something will be his. Finally, it will be to a court of law to decide one way or the other.
And I do understand what you're trying to say here, Nalin, also that he's been indicted. Yes, there was cash found. This is a very serious charge. But speaking to top jurists, the thing that Indians really want to know, we saw the High Court Bar Associations, Nalin, come together for the first time in this manner. There needs to be an impeachment to set a precedent is what we are asking for here at Republic TV. We understand the judge has resigned, but the judge's explanation was not transparent as said in the report. It's unexplained where the 500 rupee notes came from. It's also the conspiracy angle which he had raised, but the committee report says there is no sign of a conspiracy. In such a case, isn't it time to make an example and set impeachment, Nalin, as a precedent?
Well, that demand has been going on. Your channel has been pushing that demand also. In fairness, it has been on this issue consistently, and it has not allowed other issues to permit this issue to disappear under the carpet in that sense. So your channel has raised it again and again. The larger question, yes, remains about questions that come from those who hold high offices. Now, let's take the judiciary in this case. There are judges who are appointed through a process. There are judges who work from morning to evening on their fixed salary and, of course, the perks that come with it, but essentially in terms of their fixed salary. And they do, their bit in trying to let the process of law and justice continue. Now, for such persons, it becomes very, very disheartening if you're honestly doing your job and trying to serve the cause of justice to see one of your fellow brethren found in a situation which is inexplicable and, comes to a point that raises questions on the entire judiciary. Now,
Yes.
The second question is, in these kind of positions, they say the test is of Caesar's wife, but you just don't have to also be, you needn't do only justice, but you need to also show that justice is being done and you have to be above the law. So, your own character, your own values, your own motives, everything will come into play, and your conduct. In this case, Justice Verma, who, while he was sitting on the bench, has delivered several very good judgments, was considered a very bright judge. This came as a bad cloud, and he had no cogent reason. And when you have no cogent reason to something which is as huge as this is not a minor thing. This is about, sacks of money catching fire, and it came into public notice. In fairness, the committee of the High Court, which was headed by the Chief Justice of the High Court, Justice Oppn, it went to then Chief Justice Khanna. They followed what was the procedure laid down in the Veerasamy judgment. So they followed what is the procedure. The second point that came up is, what will Parliament do? In between of all of this, Justice Verma has resigned. So, it raises a question. But the larger issue with regards to propriety, with regards to the message that the judiciary has taken a strong note of it, these are issues that I'm sure will be in continuing debate.
All right, Nalin Kohli there, Senior Advocate in the Supreme Court. I thank you for giving us an excellent understanding of what has happened here. I also now want to go across to the Bar Court High Association that had actually gone against him. First, I'm going to go across, viewers, to Anil Tiwari, the former president of the Allahabad High Court Bar Association. Anil Tiwari, I remember speaking to you the entire time this case was on, and I think it was for the first time on Arnab show on a Sunday morning when Republic TV was the only channel doing the story. You had made a demand for all the bar associations to come together. You then went to the Supreme Court. You had a word with the Chief Justice of India. This had become the most unprecedented corruption scandal in India. How are you looking today at the Verma committee, at the report on Justice Verma, which clearly indicts him? It says there was no conspiracy. There was also this desire to send him back to his parent court, the Allahabad High Court. What do you think should next happen, Anil?
I remember everything, and I can say, I have liberty to say that this incident was at such a scale which cannot be tolerated at all in the judicial field. Allahabad High Court, as I was sitting president at that point of time, I requested all the high courts of India, and now, just because of this incident, 30 presidents, 7 presidents went to meet the Chief Justice. Entire nations, bar associations were fighting this cause, and now we have a good news that this inquiry report has been tabled before the Parliament, and मुझे लगता है आगे काफी कुछ होना है इसमें, बिकॉज आप देखें जब भी प्रीवियस हिस्ट्री है, जब भी जज अपने को ट्रबल में पाते हैं तो वो रिजाइन कर देते हैं. तो जस्टिस वर्मा ने वही किया, वही खेल खेला अगेन. इनको रिजाइन करना था तो शुरू में ही कर देते. जब देखा कुछ नहीं है तो रिजाइन कर दिया. मैंने तो गवर्नमेंट से उसी वक्त रिक्वेस्ट की थी कि इनका रिजिग्नेशन एक्सेप्ट ना करें और इम्पीचमेंट प्रोसीडिंग चलाएं. मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि गवर्नमेंट इम्पीचमेंट प्रोसीडिंग चलाएगी, और मैं सारी पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज से आपके चैनल के माध्यम से मेरी रिक्वेस्ट है कि वो लोग इस इम्पीचमेंट मोशन को सक्सेसफुल करें, और हिंदुस्तान की हिस्ट्री में ये चैप्टर लिखा जाना जरूरी है, क्योंकि जिस तरह से कोर्ट के अंदर ये सब चीजें हो रही है, ये पब्लिक ट्रस्ट का सवाल है, ये किसी एक जज की बात नहीं है. ये एक अच्छी खबर है।
So, आप क्या डिमांड रखेंगे पॉलिटिकल पार्टी से, अनिल तिवारी?
मेरी खास तौर से मेरी सभी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी इंक्लूडिंग रूलिंग पार्टी से मेरा ये रिक्वेस्ट है, वकील कम्युनिटी की तरफ से और जनता की तरफ से, पब्लिक एट लार्ज की तरफ से, सबकी मेरी रिक्वेस्ट है कि इस मामले पर पार्टी के हितों से ऊपर उठकर इम्पीचमेंट को 100% वोट से सक्सेसफुल बनाए। ये सिग्नल जाना चाहिए। मैं तो आपसे कहूंगा कि आप देखें, ये बहुत बड़ा इशू उठ चुका है कि ऐसे जजेस आर बेसिकली रिजल्ट ऑफ द प्रेजेंट कोलिजियम सिस्टम। आई एम ऑल्सो सेइंग दैट दिस प्रेजेंट कोलिजियम सिस्टम शुड बी रिकंसीडर्ड, रिविजिटेड, बिकॉज सच जजेस आर बीइंग प्रोड्यूस्ड बाय दिस सिस्टम। He was जो भी इससे पहले कि आप देखें 7 बार 8 बार मिस्टर छागला जब बॉम्बे हाईकोर्ट में प्रॉब्लम हुई, उन्होंने छेड़ा तो उस समय भी जज साहब ने रिजाइन कर दिया। ये क्या तरीका है? रिजाइन करना था तो पहले दिन कर देते, आज की डेट में रिजाइन करने का क्या मतलब है? और इनका क्रिमिनल केस का प्रोसिक्यूशन भी होना चाहिए, FIR लॉन्च होनी चाहिए। FIR हम लोग इसलिए लॉन्च नहीं कर पा रहे हैं कि स्टिल ही इज अ जज and there is a restraint on the police authorities not to register against them.
बिल्कुल, जो 3 चीजें कही हैं बिल्कुल सही हैं मिस्टर अनिल तिवारी, और यही मैं अपने दर्शकों को बताना चाहूंगी। The first thing that you've said is there's a demand coming in from the lawyers. This case should be a precedent and there should be an impeachment proceeding in this case. The second demand that you've set forward is very clear. There needs to be a scanner once again in the collegium system. And the third point you are making is there should be an FIR lodged. And this is something we also want to ask, why has not happened yet? There are so many people, Anil Tiwari, we've spoken to, criminal lawyers of the country, top senior legals. In fact, on my show, I also had Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, one of the country's biggest lawyers. I also had Mr. Mukul Rohatgi, whom I spoke to on this case. He also said there should have been an FIR. Why was it not there? We also were told by Dr. Singhvi that there should have been a proper investigation. There needs to be an impeachment because we also need to understand that there needs to be a precedent. But a larger question is coming forward with Justice Verma being indicted, and there was no conspiracy, these cash notes were found. Everybody has to say in one point about how the collegium works. This is something that has been decried by Mr. Mukul Rohatgi across the board. It was also stated by a country's top legal, a former BJP union minister, Mr. Arun Jaitley. The collegium and how it works is only something equable. There is no equivalent to it in the world. It's only happening in India. And that is very crucial because now there is also a demand once again on how the collegium functions and what should happen there. I'm also going to, Anil Tiwari, thank you for being with us. I'm also going to go across to Swapnil, who's joining us now. Swapnil, a big investigation that had been done by Republic TV bears fruit. There is no conspiracy in this case, the 126-page report says, and viewers across the day, I'm also going to try and interview some of the people who wrote this committee report. So the consolidated findings, it clearly says is, Swapnil, and I'm going to read it out. There is no explanation for the 500 rupee currency notes that were found in the storeroom of Justice Verma's residential premises at 30 Tughlaq Crescent, New Delhi. The judge himself failed to give a satisfactory explanation regarding the presence or the ownership of this. Secondly, the material evidence was not preserved. The evidentiary condition of the storeroom was disturbed before the inspection, and later non-availability of currency notes remains unexplained. Third, the explanation furnished by Justice Verma, particularly in his reply, did not exhibit the candor, the transparency, the responsibility expected in the circumstances. Justice Verma was evasive, unsatisfactory when we tested him. It's very clear, therefore, this judge needs to be impeached, Swapnil. How is that process going to work out?
Well, he should have been impeached, and even if he's resigned and if he wanted to save face, then I think at least he should be criminally indicted. I mean, there have to be criminal charges. He has to be criminally prosecuted if you feel that the impeachment process has been rendered moot with his resignation, and that's not going to really materialize or result in anything, because if none of the impeachments have ever gone through in the past 70 years rhythm, and people have come close to that, but either the Rajya Sabha numbers have not been met, or either the judge has resigned before, and things like that, and Justice Verma is no exception here. So the point is that all said and done, I think he has to be criminally prosecuted because you need to set an example. You can't just be let off with the fact that, okay, fine, we find 40, 50 crores in his house, in his backyard. And then he decided to save face and say that in the larger interest of the judiciary and the perception that judiciary is a noble institution, I am resigning herewith because, allegations have been laid against me. So this report, to whatever extent is a good report in the sense that it tells me everything about it as to what happened and what transpired, and it will be a good academic exercise to read it. But for me, as a professional lawyer, it is of no relevance much. Because unless and until the judge in question has been absolutely criminally prosecuted. So there has to be criminal prosecution. Now, whether it's because, whether there is a collegiate system or no collegiate system, rhythm has got very little bearing on this. Judges may want to protect one of their own, but I don't think so. Given that such a larger issue at hand, I think the judges want to ensure that, he just resigned, so be happy with it. Anybody else in his position would have been behind bars by now. But because he's a judge, he should not be so. The same thing that happened with Giriwala. So the thing is that it's all very easy for us to go back and say that this system of appointment is wrong, because overall the appointment system has worked overall. I don't want to get into that debate right now, Rhythm, because the point of our conversation today is that whether or not he needs to be criminally prosecuted, he needs to be. The question of any impeachment process doesn't arise now because that process has been gone through, it's been rendered moot. There could be several arguments to that effect. He could again succeed in saying that now I've resigned. Why do you want to impeach me? The impeachment process only for the purposes of my resignation as far as the Constitution is concerned. Under Article 124, and I don't know which one is the article now for the High Court impeachment. So these are all Rhythm, very, very constitutionally tight, watertight compartments, and we don't want to give any leeway now. The fact that he's resigned, great. We are never ever going to appear before him because he's not going to be there. That's fine. But now he needs to be criminally prosecuted. And what is the process for that? Do we have to take the consent of the Chief Justice for that? Fine. If that is the need be, then let's approach that. Let's do the process. Because if your high court bars are across the country are recommending that he should be impeached, I would use the word criminally prosecuted as opposed to impeached, because I think that there still will be a play on words, and we don't want any further embarrassment to the judiciary saying that, because of these words, because of this constitutional scheme, and the way, there could be several lawyers who could approach on his behalf and say that, in constitutionally this is impermissible, that is not allowed, this is not allowed. We don't want to get into legal semantics. The common man at the end of the day wants to know that, okay, 50 crores were found. What has happened to this person in whose house 50 crores were found? And more so, he was a judge. And that too of a high court, of a prominent high court. And all high courts are prominent. More so Delhi, Bombay, Madras, Calcutta, because those are the four premier high courts of the country. But, the fact is that he was a judge. People had faith in him. Completely the trust has been eviscerated. It has been destroyed. So I believe that he needs to be criminally prosecuted. This is a complete waste of time. Otherwise, this report, because this judge's reply is complete misleading. As I'm reading on your, the posts that you're putting up, this is all fine. I know all that they were completely bogus. And so what? Then there are stuff after what has happened. Arnab has had several debates with Salve. He's had several discussions. You've had several discussions. Several with all the top lawyers of the country. And here we are, the point is that the common man is not interested in all these intellectual debates. He's eventually interested in the fact, he or she is interested in the fact as to what eventually has transpired. Where is the punishment? Are the judges immune?
I agree.
Because they happen to be the power of the
judiciary? Swapnil, I'm also going to take your words to the committee and also get this heard by the parliament, because this has to be a precedent. This is no longer just about Justice Yashwant Verma, but this is also about the collegium and how it functions. I thank you for being with us. Viewers, we slip into a quick break. On the other side, we continue with this top focus story where Justice Verma is indicted. But what is the parliament going to do about it is the big question. Much more after a short break. Stay on with us.
तो सस्ता लो,
सब बढ़िया लो।
इसमें क्या खास बात है?
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात।
AU करंट अकाउंट के साथ मिलता है फ्री UPI QR ओवरड्राफ्ट फैसिलिटी और एक ही ऐप से बैंक के सारे काम। AU
सोच बदलो और बैंक भी।
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
सैंडविच, लस्सी और छाछ।
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट। ड्राई फ्रूट और दही बड़े।
चमकी चाट से स्वाद बढ़े।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चमकी चाट। Umpteen number of times the Modi government also has taken resort to, whenever the bills have come where you need to take all stakeholders involved on board. And the government from the day one has said that insofar as FCRA is concerned, we can speak to anyone and everyone and convince them that this is not targeted at them. For example, the Home Minister himself has met not once, twice Christian delegations and told them that it is not targeted at them, and that even if you look at it, the contributions to church or churches in the country or missionaries just about 15 or 17%. And I've spoken to people in the agencies and they say that it's, our law also needs to be made compatible with, for example, the FATF.
Yes.
Likely, Niranjan, I can tell you that the bill might be brought in tomorrow and then referred to the JPC.
Okay, now this is turning out to be the tricky one, because we just had some more information that, for example, the Sharad Pawar faction of the NCP wants the bill to go to the JPC, not withdraw or against, but they're saying, okay, send it to the JPC. But they also need the support of Sharad Pawar's party for delimitation. Not sure about this session, but at least in
Justice Verma indicted. The probe report on Justice Verma tabled in the Parliament. Republic accesses the 126-page report.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
सैंडविच, लस्सी और छाछ।
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट। अब बताओ, स्वाद आया? आया।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चमकी चाट।
रानी, इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं।
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा। रुंगटा स्टील TMT से बना।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी एवरीडे।
खुद अपनी आंखों के सामने लोगों को मरते शहीद होते देख के मैं आया हूँ। बहुत हालात ख़राब हो चुके हैं, बहुत हालात ख़राब हो चुके हैं। इंटरनेशनल मीडिया को, सारी दुनिया को टैग करें और हम तक पहुँचाएं। यार, इस वक्त यहाँ पे एम्बुलेंसेस की तादाद जो है वो कम पड़ गई है, गाड़ियाँ कम पड़ चुकी हैं। लोग जो है अपने ज़ख्मियों को अपनी मदद आपके तहत, कोई इधर से पकड़ा हुआ को उधर से, और रोड पे लहू ही लहू है। लगातार फायरिंग जारी है। ऐसा लग रहा है कि हम फलस्तीन में हैं, कसम से। इन्होंने वो हालत बनाई हुई है। खाली करेगा, खाली करो, खाली करो। फोर्सेस की फायरिंग से जो है ना, इस वक्त बेशुमार नौजवान शहीद जख्मी हो चुके हैं और बेशुमार लोग शहीद हो चुके हैं। देख सकते हैं ये पाकिस्तानी फोर्सेस की बर्बरियत और जो है ना पाकिस्तानी फोर्सेस की फायरिंग से जो है ना, ये देखें किस तरह नौजवानों को, किस तरह स्ट्रेट फायर मारे जा रहे हैं नौजवानों को। ये देखें पाकिस्तानी फोर्सेस ने स्ट्रेट फायर किए नौजवानों को। ये देखें लोग, छोड़ो। हमारे बहुत सारे भाई जख्मी हो चुके हैं। अल्लाह की जात हमारे भाइयों की हिफाजत करे, अल्लाह की जात हमारे भाइयों की हिफाजत करे। क्या सूरत आ गई? सूरत बहुत बुरी है, सबको मारे जा रहे हैं लगातार। पिछले तक 3 बंदूकों हेडशॉट की इन्होंने की है, कितने के बच्चों ने, 15 से 20 लोग, और बहुत सारे बंदूकों ने इनको जख्मी किया है। बहुत सारे अल्लाहू अकबर।
15 से 20 नौजवानों को गोलियां लग चुकी हैं, कम से कम 15 से 20 नौजवानों को गोलियां लग चुकी हैं।
बहुत सारे भाई हमारे जख्मी हो गए हैं भाई।
Welcome back, viewers. Now, the FCRA to JPC motion was moved by the government today in the Lok Sabha. Nityanand Rai moved the motion for the formation of a JPC, Joint Parliamentary Committee, on the FCRA bill. Take a look at what happened in the House today.
Item number 28A, Shri Nityanand Rai ji.
मैं माननीय गृह मंत्री जी की ओर से प्रस्ताव करता हूं कि विदेशी अभिदाय विनियमन संशोधन विधेयक 2026 को इस सभा के 21 सदस्यों जो कि माननीय अध्यक्ष द्वारा नामित किया जाए और राज्यसभा के 10 सदस्यों जो कि माननीय सभापति द्वारा नामित किया जाए से मिलकर बनी दोनों सभाओं की संयुक्त समिति को सौंपा जाए कि संयुक्त समिति की बैठक आयोजित करने के लिए गणपूर्ति संयुक्त समिति के सदस्यों की कुल संख्या का लगभग 1/3 होगी कि समिति अगले सत्र के प्रथम सप्ताह के अंतिम दिन तक इस सभा को प्रतिवेदन प्रस्तुत करेगी कि अन्य मामलों में संसदीय समितियों से संबंधित इस सभा की प्रक्रिया तथा कार्य संचालन नियम ऐसे परिवर्तनों और उपरांतरणों के साथ लागू होंगे जो अध्यक्ष तय करें और कि यह सभा राज्यसभा से सिफारिश करती है कि राज्यसभा उक्त संयुक्त समिति में शामिल हो और राज्यसभा द्वारा संयुक्त समिति में नियुक्त किए जाने वाले सदस्यों के नाम इस सभा को सूचित करे।
Shri K.C. Venugopal ji, what do you want to say? But if I'm allowing you to K.C. Venugopal ji, now if I'm allowing to K.C. Venugopal ji, तो आप
Just now we got
मैं उनको allow भी कर रहा हूँ, आप सदन नहीं खाली कर रहे हैं।
Sir, just now we got an information. The bill is circulated for moving a resolution from the government on FCRA in the name of Honorable Amit Shah ji. Sir, this legislation is clearly for targeting NGOs and minority institutions, those who are doing good work. One side, RSS is getting complete donation from the foreign countries. On one side, RSS is getting. On the other side, government is trying to target the minorities and NGOs. The government should withdraw this. The government should withdraw this bill. We demand for the withdrawal bill.
Shri Kiran Rijiju ji, Shri Kiran Rijiju.
केसी वेणुगोपाल जी बिल्कुल गलत बात कर रहे हैं और ये कई दिनों से कांग्रेस पार्टी और बाकी लोगों ने मांग किया है कि जेपीसी में भेजा जाए। ये तो कांग्रेस पार्टी और बाकी विपक्ष के लोगों ने भी कहा कुछ प्रमुख बिल्स को जॉइंट पार्लियामेंट्री कमेटी या सिलेक्ट कमेटी या स्टैंडिंग कमेटी में रेफर किया जाए। जब आप महत्वपूर्ण बिल को रेफर कर रहे हैं तो इसका आपत्ति है। अगर किसी वेणुगोपाल जी या किसी पार्टी के मेंबर को इस बिल में आपत्तिजनक कोई चीज है या किसी वहाँ बिंदु पे इसका विरोध है। तो जेपीसी में आप अपना मत रख सकते हैं। जेपीसी में पर्याप्त समय मिलेगा और भी लोगों को बुला करके आप हियरिंग करेंगे। वो तो खुश होने का चक्कर में उल्टा ये तो उल्टा बोल रहे हैं। ये तो मैं सोचा कि स्वागत करेंगे। जब जेपीसी भेजते हैं, जेपीसी में कोई मैटर भेजता है तो विपक्ष उसका स्वागत करता है। ये तो स्वागत करने की जगह में विरोध कर रहे हैं। तो अफसोस की बात है, कोई माइनॉरिटी को टारगेट नहीं है। ये पूरा देश को सुरक्षित रखने के लिए नियम बना रहा है। किसी माइनॉरिटी, किसी कम्युनिटी को टारगेट करने का सवाल ही नहीं है।
And with that, that's a wrap on this edition, viewers. But on the other side, we bring you exclusive details on what happened in the Phuket to Delhi flight. The pilot's second test, the drug test, has been positive. And Republic TV has accessed the report confirming that the pilot in command was under the influence of drugs.
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ 8 मिनट में तैयार। क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 11th year, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है? आलू चाट या फ्रूट चाट, स्वाद बनाए चमकी चाट।
क्या बात है? स्वादिष्ट पकोड़े और फरसान, अरे चमकी चाट है इसकी जान।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चंकी चाट।
Umpteen number of times the Modi government also has taken resort to, whenever the bills have come where you need to take all stakeholders involved on board, and the government from the day one has said that insofar as FCRA is concerned, we can speak to anyone and everyone and convince them that this is not targeted at them. For example, the Home Minister himself has met not once, twice Christian delegations and told them that it is not targeted at them, and that even if you look at it, the contributions to church or churches in the country or missionaries just about 15 or 17%. And I've spoken to people in the agencies and they say that it's, our law also needs to be made compatible with, for example, the FATF.
Yes.
Likely, Niranjan, I can tell you that the bill might be brought in tomorrow and then referred to the JPC.
Okay, now this is turning out to be the tricky one, because we just had some more information that, for example, the Sharad Pawar faction of the NCP wants the bill to go to the JPC, not withdraw or against, but they're saying, okay, send it to the JPC. But they also need the support of Sharad Pawar's party for delimitation. Not sure about this session, but at least in the next, maybe they're testing the numbers. But it's turning out to be really tricky with the numbers. What's the game plan there?
Well, you see, so far as numbers for a legislation like FCRA is concerned, that's not a problem, Niranjan. It does not need a special majority, in the sense it does not need a constitutional majority. Now, delimitation obviously is a work in progress. The government has a certain deadline in mind, for sure. But remember, delimitation by its very nature, apart from needing a special majority in Parliament, in both the houses of Parliament,
Time for a very short break, viewers, but we get you the latest on the report on Justice Verma that has been tabled in Parliament. We get you the details on that.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
सैंडविच, लस्सी और छाछ और
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट। ड्राई फ्रूट और दही बड़े।
चमकी चाट से स्वाद बढ़े।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चंकी चाट।
कुछ तो सस्ता लो,
सब बढ़िया लो।
इसमें क्या खास बात है?
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात।
खुद अपनी आंखों के सामने लोगों को मरते शहीद होते देख के मैं आया हूँ। बहुत हालात ख़राब हो चुके हैं, बहुत हालात ख़राब हो चुके हैं। इंटरनेशनल मीडिया को, सारी दुनिया को टैग करें और हम तक पहुंचाएं यार। इस वक्त यहाँ पे एम्बुलेंसेस की तादाद जो है वो कम पड़ गई है, गाड़ियाँ कम पड़ चुकी हैं। लोग जो है अपने जख्मियों को अपनी मदद आपके तहत, कोई इधर से पकड़ा हुआ को उधर से, और रोड्स पे लहू ही लहू है। लगातार फायरिंग जारी है। ऐसा लग रहा है कि हम फलस्तीन में हैं कसम से। इन्होंने वो हालत बनाई हुई है।
फोर्सेस की फायरिंग से जो है ना, इस वक्त बेशुमार नौजवान शहीद जख्मी हो चुके हैं और बेशुमार लोग शहीद हो चुके हैं। देख सकते हैं ये पाकिस्तानी फोर्सेस की बर्बरियत और जो है ना पाकिस्तानी फोर्सेस की फायरिंग से जो है ना, ये देखें किस तरह नौजवानों को, किस तरह स्ट्रेट फायर मारे जा रहे हैं नौजवानों को। ये देखें पाकिस्तानी फोर्सेस ने स्ट्रेट फायर किए नौजवानों को।
Republic TV accesses the test report on the pilot in command of Phuket to Delhi flight. It's confirmed he was drugged out.
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी एवरीडे।
AU सेविंग्स अकाउंट में मिलते हैं अमेजिंग बेनिफिट्स, पेपरलेस बैंकिंग एंड हायर इंटरेस्ट, वो भी हर महीने।
मनी 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 एवरी मंथ। सोच बदलो और बैंक भी।
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
सैंडविच, लस्सी और छाछ और
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट। अब बताओ स्वाद आया?
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चंकी चाट।
Umpteen number of times the Modi government also has taken resort to, whenever the bills have come where you need to take all stakeholders involved on board, and the government from the day one has said that insofar as FCRA is concerned, we can speak to everyone and anyone and everyone and convince them that this is not targeted at them. For example, the Home Minister himself has met not once, twice Christian delegations and told them that it is not targeted at them, and that even if you look at it, the contributions to church or churches in the country or missionaries just about 15 or 17%. And I have spoken to people in the agencies and they say that it's, our law also needs to be made compatible with, for example, the FATF.
Yes.
Likely, Niranjan, I can tell you that the bill might be brought in tomorrow and then referred to the JPC.
Okay, now this is turning out to be the tricky one because we just had some more information that, for example, the Sharad Pawar faction of the NCP wants the bill to go to the JPC, not withdraw or against, but they're saying, okay, send it to the JPC. But they also need the support of Sharad Pawar's party for delimitation. Not sure about this session, but at least in the next, maybe they're testing the numbers. But it's turning out to be really tricky with the numbers. What's the game plan there?
Well, you see, so far as numbers for a legislation like FCRA is concerned, that's not a problem, Niranjan. It does not need a special majority, in the sense it does not need a constitutional majority. Now, delimitation obviously is a work in progress. The government has a certain deadline in mind, for sure. But remember, delimitation by its very nature, apart from needing a special majority in Parliament, in both the houses of Parliament separately, it also needs to be passed by more than half the number of states. So it's a long process. I don't think, as I understand it, and as I have been given to understand when I have checked, that
news conference, when the Home Minister, they wanted Home Minister to come in. Home Minister saying, okay, I'm coming in. He's ready for a debate. But they don't want the debate. right? It appears that the intention was to stall Parliament all along. Delimitation is not there. FCRA is the only significant piece of legislation now coming in, which is...
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Very warm welcome, viewers. You're watching Republic TV and I am Rakshita Mishra with you. Infrastructure is powering India's transformation, driving the growth and connectivity and opportunity. From the world-class airports and expressways to high-speed rail, smart cities, renewable energy and multimodal logistics, India is building at an unprecedented scale today with a 111 lakh crore rupees national infrastructure pipeline and 11 lakh 21,000 crore rupees in union capital expenditure for the financial year 2025, the country is laying the foundation for a stronger, faster and more connected future. And as India moves towards the vision of Viksit Bharat 2047, the conversation on infrastructure and reality takes center stage. Republic proudly presents Viksit Bharat 2047 Infra and Reality Edition on Thursday, 13th of August, that's tomorrow, bringing together the policymakers, industry leaders, investors and innovators to shape the future of India's built environment. Republic Viksit Bharat 2047 Infra and Reality Edition, shaping future infra and real estate. It's time now for the headlines.
Headlines brought to you by Canara Bank. Together we can.
Justice Yashwant Verma indicted in cash scandal case. Report says substantial unexplained 500 rupee note found at Justice Verma's storeroom.
क्वेश्चन करेंगे, जवाब देंगे और अपोजिशन जवाब सुनना नहीं चाहते और भाग रहे हैं। ऐसा परिस्थिति आप कल्पना कर सकते हैं? लोकतंत्र के लिए ठीक नहीं है। विपक्ष भी बहुत जिम्मेदार होते हैं, सरकार का जिम्मेदारी है और विपक्ष का भी जिम्मेदारी होते हैं। और जब नीट एग्जाम को लेकर के जो पेपर लीक हुए, छात्रों ने आंदोलन किया, कई गतिविधि हुए हैं, विपक्ष ने मांग किया कि इसका डिस्कशन होना चाहिए, होम मिनिस्टर का जवाब चाहिए। हम बार बार कह रहे हैं कि हम चर्चा चाहते हैं, वो मान नहीं रहा है। मजबूरन गृह मंत्री जी फिर एक पत्र लिखना पड़ा। जो ये पत्र जो आपको मैं दिखा रहा हूं, गृह मंत्री जी ने मुझे कॉपी दे करके स्पीकर साहब को लोकसभा में फिर से लेटर लिखा कि हम डिस्कशन के लिए बहुत खुले मन से, विस्तार से, डिटेल से डिस्कशन के लिए तैयार है। ऑपोजिशन पार्टी के लीडर को मनाइए। ये आपने कभी सुना है? सरकार खुद हाथ जोड़ करके स्पीकर को कह रहे हैं कि ऑपोजिशन पार्टी को डिस्कशन के लिए मनवाइए। मैं तो बहुत व्याकुल हो गया हूं डिस्कशन के लिए। हम तुरंत डिस्कशन चाहते हैं। आज भी हमने बार बार ऑपोजिशन पार्टी को कहा कि आप अभी डिस्कशन शुरू कीजिए, होम मिनिस्टर अभी यहां बैठे हैं, अभी डिस्कशन कीजिए। हिम्मत है ही नहीं है। तो ये देश के लिए ठीक नहीं है। मैं एज ए पार्लियामेंट्री अफेयर्स मिनिस्टर भी बहुत दुखी हूं, लेकिन एज ए एमपी, एज ए मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट, मैं भी तो एमपी हूं, तो दुख होना तो एक नेचुरल सी बात है कि जब पार्लियामेंट नहीं चलेगी तो सबको खराब लगेगा। और मैं ये कहना चाहता हूं कि ये जो पूरा मानसून सत्र में जो हंगामा कर रहे हैं कांग्रेस पार्टी और ये कुछ दल, अब जनता भी जानना चाहते हैं कि आखिर डिस्कशन से कांग्रेस पार्टी क्यों भाग रहे हैं। और डिस्कशन और डिबेट लोकतंत्र का मूल, ये हमारा स्पिरिट होता है। इसी का माध्यम से देश के सामने में डिटेल बात जाता है। तो मैं फिर से कहना चाहता हूं कि मैं तो बहुत बूढ़ा नहीं हुआ हूं, लेकिन 30 साल का मेरा एक्सपीरियंस है और इस 3 दशक का पार्लियामेंट्री एक्सपीरियंस के साथ मैं कह रहा हूं कि ऐसा अपोजिशन पार्टी, ऐसा विपक्ष मैंने अपने जिंदगी में नहीं देखा और कल्पना भी नहीं कर सकता है कि डिस्कशन से भागने वाला अपोजिशन पार्टी पार्लियामेंट कैसे चलेगा। फिर पार्लियामेंट में डिस्कस नहीं करेगा, पार्लियामेंट मंत्री जवाब नहीं दे सकते हैं, पार्लियामेंट में सरकार अपना बात नहीं रख सकता है, वो सुनना ही नहीं चाहते हैं। मतलब तकिया पकड़ के नाराबाजी करना एक नॉर्मल कर दिया है। अब तो कांग्रेस पार्टी के एमपी सोचते हैं कि उसका काम ही सिर्फ नारा लगाना, तकिया पकड़ना, गाली देना, यही काम रह गया, इसको नॉर्मल बना दिया है। पार्लियामेंट के अंदर में डिबेट डिस्कशन तो भूल गए हैं ये लोग। मैं कल्पना नहीं कर सकता हूं कि कांग्रेस पार्टी एक जमाने में बड़े पार्टी थे, लगभग 50 दशक से ज्यादा उन्होंने शासन किया इस देश को, और कांग्रेस पार्टी का ये हाल हो जाएगा कल्पना भी नहीं कर सकते हैं। क्या हो गया कांग्रेस पार्टी को? डिस्कशन से भागने वाला पार्टी। कौन विश्वास करेगा कि कांग्रेस इतना नीचे डूब जाएगा? ये हालत होगा कांग्रेस पार्टी, सोच भी नहीं सकते हैं। इसलिए कल आखिरी दिन है, हमने तो आज भी अपील किया है। मैं बहुत भारी मन, दुखी मन से कह रहा हूं, आई एम रियली फ्रस्ट्रेटेड that opposition party is running away from the debates in the parliament. Unthinkable, incomprehensible that in parliamentary democracy, opposition party is running away from the debate and government is insisting on full-fledged discussion and also the reply.
So what will be the future of delimitation and reservation bill then?
वो तो मैं बात बताऊंगा वो विषय को। इंग्लिश में मैंने बोला ना, इंग्लिश एक मिनट। हाँ, वो नहीं। See, today as not only as a parliamentary affairs minister, I am also a member of parliament. I am extremely pained, disturbed and frustrated that it is first time in the history of parliamentary democracy that the opposition party is running away from discussion in the parliament. Otherwise, it is always the opposition which seeks the discussion and the government which tries to defer it. But here the government is too eager to place on record seeking discussion on the floor of the house, and the opposition party is running away. I have never seen such irresponsible opposition party which is not ready to come to the parliament for debate. They are interested only in shouting slogans, use abusive language, carries all those kind of very objectionable placards and banners and abuse the Prime Minister. This kind of politics, it is very theatrical politics, and it is very unfortunate to see that once upon a time Congress was a very respectable, very big all India pan party with full responsibility of running the affairs of the country. Today Congress is reduced to such low that it is not even ready to face the parliament, and they don't realize the basic responsibility of the opposition party, that is to question the government and seek reply from the government. Here is the Congress party and the opposition party who don't want any discussion on the floor of the house. I feel sorry for the young first-time members of parliament. Ever since they have been elected to this house, they have not seen any quality debate. They are not witnessing any high-level parliamentary exchanges on the floor of the house, because house is not simply able to run. So it is very unfortunate for the young MPs who have desired to become a great parliamentarian. We have seen how senior parliamentarians, even you all are senior people, I have seen parliamentary reporting also is an art. But if there is no discussion, what will you report?
So you mentioned the letter also.
This letter is written by the Honorable Home Minister, because after I have made my formal remarks on the floor of the House and giving our concurrence, government's willingness to discuss on the matter of NEET exam paper leakage. Even after 2 days, the opposition party is running away. So Home Minister was bound to write this letter appealing the Honorable Speaker of the House to consult and also to manage the opposition party to come together and agree for a discussion, because Home Minister is extremely pained and is willing to give in detail all those things which are related to the students' protests and the subsequent the actions which had happened and all related events. So we want full-fledged discussion.
जयराम रमेश ने ट्वीट करके कहा कि 1952 से अब तक पार्लियामेंट की हिस्ट्री में ऐसा नहीं हुआ है कि ना तो प्राइम मिनिस्टर और ना गृह मंत्री पार्लियामेंट हाउस में कभी नहीं आए हैं।
हाउस तो तभी आएंगे ना जब हाउस चलेगी।
Sir, the opposition is saying it's the last second day that the Home Minister writes a letter and gives a media statement.
Oh,
done it 10 days.
Home Minister is writing today only after they are not listening. I have made appeal from the first day. My appeal, I am the representative of the government as a parliamentary affairs minister. I am the person who is giving all the correct position of the government stand. I have informed the Business Advisory Committee, I informed the House that government is ready to have full-fledged discussion on exam paper leakage with regards to NEET. Only after the opposition is continuing to disturb the House, the Home Minister was bound to write this. This is out of compulsion, he wrote it. Otherwise, what was required? It is not a question of the second last day. He wrote on the second last day because opposition is not coming forward for discussion and session is getting over. So that is why he has made a very desperate appeal actually. So,
सर राहुल गांधी साहब 3 बार मिले हो, आपकी बात हुई, उन्होंने क्या बोला, क्या आपको क्या लगा सर उनकी बातचीत से जब भी आप मिले?
पर्सनल
हिंदी में बोल दीजिए।
मैं बाकी राहुल गांधी जी से और बाकी विपक्ष के नेताओं से जो मेरा मुलाकात के बारे में मैं कल बताऊंगा। आज मैं बहुत भारी मन से गृह मंत्री जी ने ये पत्र लिखना पड़ा, इसलिए मैं आपसे बात कर रहा हूं अपना दुख जताने के लिए।
आज क्यों 10 दिन पहले क्यों नहीं?
लास्ट सेकंड डे क्यों?
वही तो मैं कल बताऊंगा इसका।
सर अभी सर विपक्ष कह रहा है कि आप डैमेज कंट्रोल कर रहे हैं, अमित शाह ने लास्ट सेकंड दे दिया ये चिट्ठी, पहले क्यों नहीं?
डैमेज कंट्रोल का मैं बात नहीं कर रहा हूं, मैं कह रहा हूं कि ये लोग हमने डिस्कशन के लिए अपील करने के बाद, एग्री करने के बाद वो मानते ही नहीं है। तो अब सेशन खत्म होने वाला है तो होम मिनिस्टर को मजबूर से ये पत्र लिखना पड़ा स्पीकर साहब को हाथ जोड़ के कि ऑपोजिशन पार्टी को मनवाइए। अध्यक्ष जी आपका कहने से ये लोग मान सकते हैं, आप बुला करके मनवाइए और चर्चा कराइए। ये होम मिनिस्टर साहब का भाव को समझिए, कितना वो तैयारी रहे हैं कि चर्चा जल्दी हो, चर्चा नहीं हो पा रहे हैं, इसलिए तो ये पत्र लिख रहे हैं।
सर आपको उम्मीद है कि एक दिन बचा है।
Mr. Do you think it's a legitimate demand of the opposition party, particularly the Congress, saying that there should be a second debate as well on the Ayodhya?
That I can't come to another subject, no, when if you can't discuss on first one. I met them again. I met them.
You said. What did they say after the HM wrote the letter?
They are not ready. In the house also I told them.
No, are you accusing them of running away from a debate?
Yes.
Because they have been actually asking for a statement.
That is why.
They have actually offered a debate. Are you saying that they don't want a debate, they are running away? Is that your allegation?
Not allegation. They are running away. The whole world is watching it. They are running away.
एक दिन बचा है, क्या कोई चांस है, कोई उम्मीद लग रही है आपको?
देखो मैं तो उम्मीद तो मैं छोड़ूंगा नहीं और उम्मीद से ही दुनिया कायम है, मगर कांग्रेस से उम्मीद करना बड़ा कठिन बात हो गया। अब मैं कितना बात कर चुका हूँ कांग्रेस पार्टी से।
Congress is saying that even after at 3 p.m. when the entire opposition was in the house, the Home Minister was not present at that point in time.
अरे मैं वही कह रहा हूँ, होम मिनिस्टर यहाँ वेट कर रहे हैं, चर्चा शुरू होते ही वहाँ वो बैठेंगे। तो ये तो वही तो है होम मिनिस्टर। अरे आप सब, मैं पार्लियामेंट्री अफेयर्स मिनिस्टर हूं, मैं तो बैठते रहता हूं। जिस मंत्री का सवाल होगा, जिस मंत्री का बिजनेस होगा, वही आएंगे ना। हर मंत्री थोड़ी लाइन करके बैठेंगे।
ऑपरेशन के बेस पर भी नहीं आ रहे सर।
अरे तो राज्य मंत्री भी मंत्री है, मंत्री जो होता है जिम्मेदारी सबका है।
अगर विपक्ष मान जाता है डिस्कशन के लिए, तो क्या हाउस की अवधि बढ़ाई जा सकती है?
नहीं तो अभी भी मैं कह रहा हूं, अभी भी मान जाओ।
कल मानते तो बढ़ा देंगे सर।
बढ़ाने का बात तो बहुत छोटी सी बात है। हम तो कह रहे हैं कि कल सुबह भी 11 बजे कांग्रेस बोल दे कि हम तैयार है चर्चा के लिए, हम समय बढ़ा देंगे, चर्चा के लिए हम तैयार है।
सर आपको क्यों लगता है कांग्रेस क्यों भाग रहा है?
कांग्रेस क्यों डर गए, क्यों भाग गए, वो कांग्रेस से पूछे। मगर मैं इतना कहूंगा कि कांग्रेस इतना कमजोर हो जाएंगे, ये मैंने कभी सोचा नहीं था।
All right, that was Kiran Rijiju, and he was commenting on opposition running away from the debate. We also have Home Minister who had earlier spoken outside the Parliament and challenging the opposition that why does the opposition not come and debate when he is ready for it? Listen in.
देखिए, सबसे पहले तो लापता, भाग गए, भगोड़े हैं, इस प्रकार की भाषा भारत की सार्वजनिक जीवन में और संसदीय जीवन में अभी अभी सुनाई पड़ती है। जब से संसद सत्र शुरू हुआ तब से लगातार मैं संसद में आता हूं, मेरी चैम्बर में बैठा हूं। चूंकि संसद भवन के अंदर विपक्ष संसद को चलने ही नहीं दे रहा है, दोनों गृहों में, तो कोई जाकर क्या करेगा। जहां तक चर्चा का सवाल है, सरकार की ओर से किरण रिजिजू जी ने, जो हमारे पार्लियामेंट्री अफेयर्स मिनिस्टर है, उन्होंने बहुत स्पष्ट कर दिया है कि जो नीट आंदोलन के छात्र प्रदर्शन पर सभी प्रकार की चर्चा करने के लिए सरकार तैयार है और चर्चा के लिए समय सुनिश्चित किया जाए और विपक्ष तैयार हो जाए। पहले तो ये यही मांग कर रहे थे, हमने हाँ बोल दिया। मेरी ओर से भी मैंने कह दिया है कि मैं किसी भी सवाल का जवाब देने के लिए संसद में तैयार हूं, मगर वो चर्चा ही नहीं होने देना चाहते। अब जनता तय करे कौन भाग रहा है। आज भी मैं कहता हूं, आज 3 बजे तक स्पीकर साहब को वो पत्र दे दे, 3 बजे से लेकर कल 3 बजे तक सभी प्रकार की चर्चा के लिए हम तैयार हैं। मैं सदन में ही बैठूंगा, सबको सुनूंगा और सब चीजों का जवाब दूंगा। सरकार के पास छुपाने के लिए कुछ नहीं है। वो भी चर्चा करूंगा कि आपने क्यों चर्चा नहीं चाहिए। भारतीय जनता पार्टी की मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में सरकार, एनडीए की मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में सरकार हर चीज पर चर्चा के लिए तैयार है। संसद वो चलने दे बस। आज मैं चैनलों के माध्यम से इन विपक्ष को कहना चाहता हूं कि आप एक पत्र 2 बजे तक लिख कर दे दीजिए स्पीकर साहब को। 3 बजे से चर्चा चालू कर देंगे और कल 3 बजे मैं जवाब दे दूंगा सारी चीजों का। संसद में चर्चा करने के नियम बने हैं, तरीके बने हैं। अब मुझे कोई कहता है कि आप एक स्टेटमेंट दे दो, इतने गंभीर मसले पर इस तरह से चर्चा नहीं हो सकती है। शायद आपके पद्धति में होगा, मगर संसदीय पद्धति ये नहीं है। संसद में एट लेंथ चर्चा होती है। आज 3 बजे से देर रात तक, जब तक वो बैठे, और कल दोपहर 3 बजे तक हम तो क्वेश्चन आवर भी सस्पेंड करने के लिए तैयार है, अगर स्पीकर साहब अनुमति देते हैं तो। कल 3 बजे तक मैं चर्चा के लिए तैयार हूं। मैं खुद बैठूंगा, हर चीज लिखूंगा और हर चीज का जवाब दूंगा, जिससे देश की जनता के सामने सारी चीजें स्पष्ट हो जाए, दूध का दूध और पानी का पानी हो जाए। अब विपक्ष ने तय करना है कि उनको चर्चा करनी है या हंगामा करना है।
And viewers, we have breaking news coming in on the Air India pilot's drug test report. Now, Republic TV is learning, as per their sources, as per our sources, that the pilot in command was high during the flight and displayed slow and unusual behavior. Now, the pilot has reported in this report, he has given a statement to explain his condition, and he said that he couldn't sleep well in Phuket. and he took some prescribed medicines. Now remember viewers, he has been tested positive for marijuana as far as the second dope test is concerned. Now he says that he was taking some sleeping pills for that were prescribed medicines. Sources also say that the pilot had further reported sleep-related issues and told the authority that he had been prescribed some medicines. Harsh is joining us live in the broadcast, getting us this information. Harsh, tell us more details about what the pilot in command's explanation has been, because he has been tested positive. It specifically mentions consumption of marijuana, but he says that he was only taking prescribed medicine for sleep.
यशपाल भाई हो गया पैच.
Harsh, can you hear me? Okay, I think we'll just reconnect with Harsh there with this audio. And viewers, this is the latest update we have in the Phuket to Delhi turbulence case, where the pilot in command is reported to have consumed marijuana. In the second dope test, he has failed. The first one was also non-negative. Republic TV closely is tracking all the updates, getting you all the inside details. We've accessed that report also, where we also learned that the pilot was tested positive for marijuana. He was drugged while he was flying. And we must remember at least 20 of the passengers have been injured, seriously injured in this case that was earlier being termed as turbulence. It was a 300-meter drop and 300-foot drop. Harsh is now back with us. Harsh, tell us more details about what the pilot has given as the reason for his condition.
Right, Akshita, now what we are learning from our sources is that during the initial investigation, the pilot has said he in fact has cited some medical condition related to sleep. He says that his family doctor recommended him to take some sleeping pills and he was on antibiotics, and these were in fact prescribed antibiotics as per the pilot's statement. Now let me remind our viewers that the pilot in command has been tested positive. His reports have come out to be positive and he was under the influence of marijuana. This is what we have learnt earlier, and it was also broken earlier on Republic TV. We broke this for our viewers that the pilot in command was not in the position to take control of the aircraft, and it was the first pilot, the second pilot in fact, who took control of the aircraft. He stabilized the aircraft after it witnessed a massive 300 feet loss of altitude, and he was the one who in fact landed the aircraft safely at Delhi's IGI airport. Now, earlier this morning, we also learned that the crew of this particular aircraft that in fact was traveling from Phuket to New Delhi have also lodged a formal complaint with the airline in regards to the pilot's condition. We're talking about the pilot in command's condition here. They have clearly mentioned that the pilot in command was not in a stable position. In fact, there were instances when the pilot in command was found sitting on the floor of the cockpit and he required assistance even to walk out of the aircraft as soon as it landed at Delhi's IGI airport. Now, what we have learned from our sources, in fact, these are the sources who are close to investigation. They say during the initial investigation, the pilot in command has mentioned that he was on prescribed drugs, he was on antibiotics, and it was one of his family doctors who have in fact prescribed him some sleeping pills, and he did not manage to sleep well in Phuket. This is what the pilot in command says after his reports have come out to be positive and he was under the influence of psychoactive drugs at the time of this flight.
All right. Thank you so much, Harsh, for joining us with details coming in on that story. We continue to bring more exclusive information on that, but thank you so much. In the meantime, let's shift our focus to another story, but for that, we step into a very, very short break. Don't go anywhere. We bring you the latest updates coming in the Justice Verma cash scandal, as he has been indicted in the case and the report has been accessed. That has been tabled in the Parliament today. We have accessed that and we get you more details of that.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
आलू चाट या फ्रूट चाट,
स्वाद बढ़ाए चमकी चाट।
क्या बात है, स्वादिष्ट पकोड़े और परेशान, अरे चंकी चाट है इसकी जान।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चंकी चाट।
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ 8 मिनट में तैयार। क्या टेस्ट है, सबका राजा हार्डवेयर मसाला।
खुद अपनी आंखों के सामने लोगों को मरते शहीद होते देख के मैं आया हूँ। बहुत हालात ख़राब हो चुके हैं, बहुत हालात ख़राब हो चुके हैं। इंटरनेशनल मीडिया को, सारी दुनिया को टैग करें और हम तक पहुंचाएं यार। इस वक्त यहाँ पे एम्बुलेंसेस की तादाद जो है वो कम पड़ गई है, गाड़ियाँ कम पड़ चुकी हैं। लोग जो है अपने जख्मियों को अपनी मदद आपके तहत, कोई इधर से पकड़ा हुआ को उधर से, और रोड पे लहू ही लहू है। लगातार फायरिंग जारी है, ऐसा लग रहा है कि हम फलस्तीन में हैं। कसम से इन्होंने वो हालत बनाई हुई है। खाली करेगा, खाली करो, खाली करो। फोर्सेस की फायरिंग से जो है ना इस वक्त बेशुमार नौजवान शहीद हो, जख्मी हो चुके हैं और बेशुमार लोग शहीद हो चुके हैं। देख सकते हैं ये पाकिस्तानी फोर्सेस की बर्बरियत और जो है ना पाकिस्तानी फोर्सेस की फायरिंग से जो है ना, ये देखें किस तरह नौजवानों को, किस तरह स्ट्रेट फायर मारे जा रहे हैं नौजवानों को। ये देखिए पाकिस्तानी फोर्सेस ने स्ट्रेट फायर किए नौजवानों पे। ये देखें लोग, छोड़ो। हमारे बहुत सारे भाई जख्मी हो चुके हैं। अल्लाह की जात हमारे भाइयों की हिफाजत करे, अल्लाह की जात हमारे भाइयों की हिफाजत करे। क्या सूरत आली, सूरत बहुत बुरी है, सबको मारे जा रहे लगातार। पिछले 3 बंदूकों हेडशॉट की इन्होंने किया है, कुत्ती के बच्चों ने 15 से 20 लोग और बहुत सारे बंदूकों ने इनको जख्मी किया है। बहुत सारे अल्लाहु अकबर। 15 से 20 नौजवानों को गोलियां लग चुकी है, कम से कम 15 से 20 नौजवानों को गोलियां लग चुकी है। बहुत सारे भाई हमारे।
And on the other side of the short break, we get you the exclusive details of Air India mid-air scandal. Republic TV access to the report confirming that the Parliamentary Command was under the influence of drugs.
कुछ तो सस्ता लो,
सब बढ़िया लो,
इसमें क्या खास बात है?
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात।
I wake up wearing someone else again. Don't let it slip. I'm losing control. I don't wanna be safe anymore. Underneath there's a
Finding myself. That's my moment of Sarah.
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
सैंडविच, लस्सी और छाछ।
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट। अब बताओ स्वाद आया?
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चंकी चाट।
Umpteen number of times the Modi government also has taken resort to, whenever the bills have come where you need to take all stakeholders involved on board, and the government from the day one has said that insofar as FCRA is concerned, we can speak to everyone and anyone and everyone and convince them that this is not targeted at them. For example, the Home Minister himself has met not once, twice Christian delegations and told them that it is not targeted at them, and that even if you look at it, the contributions to church or churches in the country or missionaries just about 15 or 17%. And I have spoken to people in the agencies and they say that it's, our law also needs to be made compatible with, for example, the FATF.
Yes.
Likely, Niranjan, I can tell you that the bill might be brought in tomorrow and then referred to the JPC.
Okay, now this is turning out to be the tricky one because we just had some more information that, for example, the Sharad Pawar faction of the NCP wants the bill to go to the JPC, not withdraw or against, but they're saying, okay, send it to the JPC. But they also need the support of Sharad Pawar's party for delimitation. Not sure about this session, but at least in the next, maybe they're testing the numbers. But it's turning out to be really tricky with the numbers. What's the game plan there?
Well, you see, so far as numbers for a legislation like FCRA is concerned, that's not a problem, Niranjan. It does not need a special majority, in the sense it does not need a constitutional majority. Now, delimitation obviously is a work in progress. The government has a certain deadline in mind, for sure. But remember, delimitation by its very nature, apart from needing a special majority in Parliament, in both the houses of Parliament separately, it also needs to be passed by more than half the number of states. So it's a long process. I don't think, as I understand it, and as I have been given to understand when I have checked, that FCRA is in any ways linked with delimitation, or is there a trade-off? Because FCRA is a very significant piece of legislation.
Well, good afternoon, viewers. You're watching Live and Breaking, and I am Rakshita Mishra with you. Justice Verma, the cash scandal and the report on it has been tabled in both houses of the Parliament separately today, and Republic TV has accessed the report. What really happens next? We connect with our experts and tell you more on that. But first, the headlines.
Headlines brought to you by Canara Bank. Together we can.
Justice Yashwant Verma indicted in cash scandal case. Report says substantial unexplained 500 rupee notes found at Justice Verma's storeroom. Republic accesses full 126-page report in Justice Yashwant Verma cash scandal. Report states judge failed to furnish explanation. Amit Shah says ready for discussion in Parliament, dares the opposition to not run away and come over for the debate in the Parliament. Lok Sabha LOP Rahul Gandhi says opposition not interested in listening to Home Minister's quote-unquote lecture in the Parliament. Is he running away from the debate is the big question. Kiran Rijiju calls out the Congress party, says Home Minister ready for debate, yet the Congress is running away from it. Exclusive details of Air India mid-air scandal access. It is confirmed that the pilot in command was under influence of drugs. Sources say co-pilot of Air India plane stabilized and landed Air India flight. Co-pilot informed ground crew about pilot in command's condition. We start with breaking news coming in. Republic TV has accessed the 126-page report of Justice Yashwant Verma cash scandal. The Republic TV is the only channel with the full 126-page cash scandal report. Now, this report, viewers, with us says that, and I quote the report, excerpts from the court, that unexplained 500 rupee notes were found in the storeroom and that the judge failed to furnish explanation. There was no signs of conspiracy against Yashwant Verma, because Yashwant Verma, viewers, had indicated towards a political vendetta. Now, viewers, as per the report, Verma's reply was evasive and unsatisfactory. Judge's reply is incomplete and misleading, says the report, and also that the material objects were altered or removed. So, Justice Verma's report is accessed, and this is the operational part of that, viewers, the operative part there on your screens. Unexplained 500 rupee notes were found in the storeroom, and it also tells about the judge not being able to furnish an explanation, that the response is incomplete, first of all, and whatever he has said is unsatisfactory. So the committee is not satisfied with what has been recorded. It's the three-member probe panel has submitted its findings, viewers, today. And viewers, we're now showing you more details from this report that we're gathering. In fact, we're also getting in updates that the judge's reply was misleading. He tried to mislead the committee, is what we are learning right now. We've been joined by Mr. Pradeep Kumar, co-chairperson Okay, we will be just joined by our guest shortly. But this is pertaining to the cash scandal, viewers, the fire that had broken out in the residence Justice Verma. Now, was this a fire that happened, or that the cash was burned? It remains in the realm of course, investigation. But viewers, Justice Verma had resigned, and then removal proceedings now, of course, become virtually in practice. But it remains to be seen what happens next now that he has been indicted, and that fact that officially now the report has been tabled, and now we are also accessing the details of that inquiry report. And these are some crucial details. Republic TV was the first channel, in fact, viewers, to break this story and bring the details of this story, demand answers on this story. And viewers, this is the visual you can see on your screens. This was the incident of fire, and you can see that cash was burning. It is all on camera that was recorded, and it was one of the most shocking cases that the country has seen. And sitting judge now in the scanner, it's been a long time, viewers, that there has been an inquiry in July 2025. In fact, viewers, over 200 MPs had also signed a motion to impeach him. In August last year, Om Birla, Lok Sabha Speaker, had constituted the 3-member judges inquiry committee to look into the charges. And this, of course, now the committee has now tabled this bill, tabled this report in both houses of the Parliament. All right, viewers, we will try and connect with our guests for getting us a perspective of what to expect now and how significant is this, because Republic TV is the only channel to get you this 126-page cash scandal report, and it has these details of how Verma's replies are not satisfactory. They were unsatisfactory, evasive, and he was even misleading. And there is no foul play that has been found out, that there is no conspiracy that the committee has found to be at play as far as what happened at the residence of Justice Verma is concerned. So this is, viewers, a big update that we are getting in right now. This is the cash probe report. And we are being joined by Advocate K.K. Manan, Senior Advocate from Supreme Court. Advocate K.K. Manan, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court, is joining us live on the broadcast on the national capital. Advocate Manan, thank you so much for joining us on Republic TV. And this is, of course, very, very important, sir. Now, I want to understand from you, the details that we're getting is that the report, that the reply was not satisfactory, it is misleading, the committee says, and that it's incomplete. The fact that he had resigned, and now what really happens next, sir, because the resignation also has not been notified by the Law Ministry yet. Okay, we'll try and reconnect with Advocate Manan, because we seem to have lost that connection due to network. But viewers, these are the important parts from that report that we are playing out on your screens. And this is about, it confirms the presence of notes, 500 rupee notes in the storeroom, and also about his response. We will be continuing to get you more details on that, but right now we're shifting our focus to other stories, and it's one of the big stories on Republic TV is the Phuket to Delhi flight, mid-air scare. Now the pilot, viewers, as per sources, was reportedly high on drugs during the flight and displayed slow and unusual behavior. Now, he was reportedly unstable while landing, and he had to be assisted after the aircraft landed. So he was not in the position to even move properly. Now, the pilot subsequently failed a dope test, and we're talking about 2 dope test, viewers. The first test, where the DGCA tried to obfuscate by saying that toxicology and impairment is different, so on and so forth. But the second confirmatory test had, in fact, brought out the result that he was tested positive, and even specifically mentioning the consumption of marijuana. Now, marijuana has been detected in his blood. Sources further say that pilot had earlier reported sleep-related problems and told the authorities that he had been prescribed medication by a family doctor for the condition. Now, the pilot reportedly adds that he did not manage to sleep well in Phuket, and henceforth he consumes prescribed medicines. Harsh is joining us with more details. Harsh, tell us more details. What are your sources telling you as far as the condition of the pilot is concerned? We understand that he could not even move properly and he had to be assisted.
Right, Rakshita. Now, we earlier broke this on Republic TV that the pilot in command was
in such a bad state. This, in fact, is a complaint that has been lodged by the crew of the aircraft. They say that the pilot in command was in such a bad state that he even required assistance to walk out of the plane. There were instances when he was found sitting on the floor of the cockpit of the aircraft. In fact, it was the first pilot of this particular A320 aircraft that in fact stabilized the plane after it witnessed a massive 300 feet of altitude loss mid-air. In fact, he was the pilot that safely landed the aircraft at Delhi's IGI airport, and he clearly instructed the ground staff there that the pilot in command is not in a position, he is in fact not in a position to take control of the aircraft mid-air, and that is exactly why the first pilot took over. He took over the charge of the aircraft. He was the one who stabilized this aircraft, and he then landed it at Delhi's IGI airport. Now, what we are also learning from the investigators, in fact, these are sources that are close to the investigation, they say that in the first statement that has been given by the pilot in command, he says that he was on prescribed antibiotics at the time of this flight. He had some issues related to sleep, and it was his family doctor who recommended him some antibiotics, and he was on these antibiotics at the very moment when this incident happened. However, what these reports suggest, what these narcotics, in fact, what the toxicology reports suggest is that he was high on marijuana at the time of the flight, and this, in fact, is a massive incident of apathy, because the flight itself witnessed a massive loss of altitude by nearly 300 feet mid-air, and it was the first pilot who took over the charge to stabilize the plane, who in fact landed the plane at Delhi's IGI airport. And now we are also seeing the crew of the aircraft, in fact, formally lodging a complaint with the airline in regards to the complaint of the pilot in command. Rakshita.
All right, many thanks, Harsh, for joining us with details coming in. Republic TV continues to give more details, and of course, we are also debating that story at 9 p.m. today. Now, shifting our focus to other stories, viewers, another flight which witnessed panic. Major panic, in fact, was witnessed during Delhi to Pune SpiceJet flight after the passengers allegedly faced breathing difficulties due to a technical issue now. That happened just before the takeoff. Passengers claim that when they raised the alarm, the cabin crew and pilot allegedly misbehaved with them and asked them to remain seated. One of the passengers even alleged that a SpiceJet manager brought in gunmen to silence them. Passengers have now demanded strict action, alleging serious negligence by the airline. Here's more.
A technical emergency in Pune-bound SpiceJet flight from Delhi created a major panic. The technical issue led to passengers facing breathing issues. The incident unfolded moments before the takeoff as the aircraft was moving towards the runway. According to the passengers, the sudden technical snag caused the temperatures inside the aircraft to rise sharply, leaving many passengers gasping for air. What allegedly followed added to the passengers' distress. Passengers stated that instead of addressing their concern, the pilot and cabin crew allegedly misbehaved with them and asked them to remain seated. One of the passengers, Leshpal, while speaking to Republic, further made a serious allegation against SpiceJet and stated that the SpiceJet manager brought in gunmen to silence the passengers.
हमें इनका टेक्निकल इशू कुछ मालूम नहीं रहता, ज्यादा टेक्निकल चीजें मालूम भी नहीं है, लेकिन उनको हम रिक्वेस्ट कर रहे थे कि सबको परेशान हो रही है, कुछ तो हमें सॉल्यूशन दे दो। तो वो हमें चिल्ला रहे थे, हमें गुस्सा कर रहे थे कि आप ऐसे बात नहीं कर सकते हो, आप चुप बैठो, आवाज मत करो। वो ग्राउंड पे जब हम प्रोटेस्ट करने लगे, घोषणाएं देने लगे, तो उन्होंने सीआईएसएफ के 100-150 जवान बुलाए सर, गनमैन विद गन्स, हमें चुप करने के लिए।
Soon after the incident, SpiceJet spokesperson reacted to it and said that an alternative aircraft was arranged for passengers and the flight subsequently operated to Pune. He further stated that he deeply regrets the inconvenience caused to the passengers. The passengers are now demanding accountability and strict action against SpiceJet for their negligent behavior.
And the State Investigation Agency, or the SIA, has launched raids in multiple locations of Jammu and Kashmir in connection with the 1990 killings of Kashmiri pundits, poet Sarvanand Kaul Premi and his 27-year-old son. The two were abducted from their home in Anantnag in April 1990, and they were found dead 2 days later. The case was reopened following directions from the Home Ministry to reinvestigate the killings of minorities during the 1990s. Here's a full report.
Right now, we are reporting from the Shahbaz colony where the raids are presently underway with regards to the killings of Kashmiri Pandits that have taken place in 90s. And the visuals that we are showing you from the houses that are presently being raided by the teams of the State Investigating Agency. Important to mention that this case pertains to Sarvanand Kaul Premi, one of the renowned Kashmiri Pandit poets, and his son, 27-year-old son Virendra, who was brutally killed after being abducted on 29th of April 1990. A total of 9 locations are presently being raided by the teams of the State Investigation Agency, and we are told that several other cases that are linked to the killings of the minorities that will also be reopened by the agency in the days to come. Reason being that the security apparatus, be it the Ministry of Home Affairs or the Jammu and Kashmir LG administration, they have taken a serious note of all those cases that were closed prematurely, or the closure report had to be filed due to the absence of all those witnesses, as no one came to give witness to this abduction and the killings that have taken place.
All right, breaking news coming in right now, viewers. Pakistani fighter jets carried out airstrikes on civilian homes in Sorab and Gwadar areas of Balochistan last night. And in those Pakistani strikes, at least 27 people have been killed. That includes women and children, allegedly, and injuring many others. Preliminary reports indicate that at least 27 civilians have been killed in Pakistani strikes. That includes women and children. And according to sources, the airstrikes caused heavy human and material damage to the civilian areas. You can see the visuals also that are coming in. Viewers, these are heart-wrenching visuals, and Pakistani army is not the first time reported to have targeted civilians. And now in Balochistan, as pressure mounts on them, and when they see that the land is slipping away, they resort to brute force, they resort to targeting civilians. They've not done this for the first time, but we've seen this happening again. Gursimran Singh joins us live on the broadcast from Gursimran. Well, these are heart-wrenching visuals that are emerging from Balochistan, where at least 26 to 27 people have been killed, and then there are children and women who also have been injured or even have been killed in Pakistani strikes.
See, what it seems is the Pakistan's retaliation, or you can say resentment, against the recent Independence that has been declared by the Baluch rebels. Because what we have seen, that this is a retribution to what we have been witnessing, what the Baluchs have done. Because apart from the large-scale damage to the Pakistani security forces, on the international platform as well, we have seen Pakistan being sidelined by the Baluch activists, and they have declared their independence. Now coming to this instance that has been reported in Girad as well as in Shorab area, it was overnight strikes that have taken place, overnight strikes by the Pakistani sides, in which 27 people have been killed. But to the utter shock is that majority of those who have been killed are the women and the minor children. They have been the target of Pakistan, and soon after the strikes, Pakistani security forces seized the entire area, and they have taken the bodies of those killed under their control. They have taken the bodies under their control, and now not letting anyone from the Balochistan to take control of the bodies, which clearly shows that the Pakistan wants to hide that they have done the civilian casualties under the garb of the operation, the so-called operation that they have launched in Balochistan. So it is a clear frustration that is now out in open, and this we have seen even in the Kabul and Kandahar areas, even the areas of Paktika and Paktia province of the Afghanistan, where along the Durand line Pakistan has targeted the civilian area. So one thing is very clear, that whenever Pakistan feels frustrated or they feel that the situation is going out of the hand, they resort to targeting the civilian areas, and this was another such attempt by Pakistan in Balochistan.
All right, Kusimran Singh, appreciate you joining us with details coming in on that story from Balochistan. Now we were shifting our focus to India. It's, of course, the Independence Day is around the corner, and the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign is gathering momentum across the country, with the tricolour taking centre stage in rallies, in public celebrations, right ahead of the 80th Independence Day. From an ATV Tiranga rally in Tangmarg and a flag march in Srinagar to bike rallies in Delhi and celebrations in West Bengal, the campaign is bringing the national flag into public spaces across the country. And as India prepares for the 15th of August, Prime Minister Narendra Modi urges the citizens to work tirelessly towards Vikasit Bharat. Let's see how these celebrations have started.
Across India, the tricolour is becoming a defining part of the countdown to Independence Day. The celebrations were started by Prime Minister Narendra Modi as PM Modi called upon citizens to participate enthusiastically in Har Ghar Tiranga campaign. He also urged the youth of the country to work and contribute towards a Vikasit Bharat as India goes to the celebration of its 80th Independence Day. The Har Ghar Tiranga campaign has moved beyond individual homes, with rallies, bike marches, community events, bringing citizens together in a collective celebration of the national flag. In the national capital, the celebrations took onto the streets. NDA MPs participated in a Tiranga rally from Bharat Mandapam to India Gate, while a special bike rally brought parliamentarians and public representatives together ahead of 15th of August.
In Tiranga Yatras, bike and cycle rallies, cultural programs and concerts. Each activity has a different form, but the sentiment behind them is common. The national flag is the symbol in which every citizen can find a sense of belonging. I urge each one of you to carry this spirit forward by actively promoting the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign in your respective constituencies and the states and in your street and at your home. Inspire every citizen to hoist the tricolour flag with pride.
The tricolour carries a different meaning for every generation. But yet it remains a shared symbol of the country's journey and the freedom secured by those who came before.
सबसे पहले तो आप सभी को भारत के 80th इंडिपेंडेंस डे की बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं। देखिए, तिरंगा केवल हमारा राष्ट्रीय ध्वज ही नहीं है, 140 करोड़ भारतीयों के संकल्प की शक्ति का प्रतीक है, हमारी महत्वाकांक्षाओं का प्रतीक है, हमारी आकांक्षाओं का प्रतीक है। और इसीलिए ये जो आज बाइक रैली आप देख रहे हैं, हमसे पहले जो पीढ़ी आई, जो हमारे स्वतंत्रता सेनानी थे, उनको नमन करती है। आज का जो युवा है और जो आने वाली पीढ़ी हमारे देश का भावी नेतृत्व भी है, हमारे देश का भविष्य भी है, उसको सेलिब्रेट करती है।
The campaign is reaching far from Delhi. In Jammu and Kashmir, the tricolour has been taking through the mountains, and the valley as an ATV rally was organised as a part of the campaign. While across other parts of India, bike rallies were organised as many joined in on the celebration.
ये तिरंगा यात्रा अपने कर्तव्य के प्रति सकारात्मक भाव है। ये तिरंगा यात्रा इस देश के किसी भी व्यक्ति को, चाहे वो व्यवस्थापिका से जुड़ा हो, न्यायपालिका से जुड़ा हो, कार्यपालिका से जुड़ा हो या मीडिया से जुड़ा हो, जनजी हो, किसान हो, जवान हो, सभी लोग एक गर्व भाव से तिरंगा यात्रा में शामिल हो रहे हैं। हम धन्यवाद करते हैं नरेंद्र मोदी जी का, जिन्होंने स्पेशल तिरंगा यात्रा की शुरुआत करी।
The celebrations also reached West Bengal, with Minister Dilip Ghosh joining the flagging of the celebration in Kolkata. This year's Har Ghar Tiranga also carries a historic connection with Vande Mataram, as India marks the 150th anniversary of the national song. The campaign that brings together symbolism of the tricolour, the memory of India's freedom struggle, and the anticipation of another Independence Day.
A deadly ferry disaster struck Zimbabwe's Lake Kariba with at least 15 people killed, 27 still missing after an overcrowded vessel capsized. Authorities say that 77 people have been rescued. Here's more.
A routine ferry journey turned into a mass casualty disaster on Lake Kariba in Zimbabwe. A vessel carrying passengers capsized during the journey, leaving at least 15 people dead and 27 still missing. But the scale of the tragedy is still underscored, as the ferry was designed to carry just 90 people. Ticket records show 114 adult passengers along with 5 crew members, meaning at least 119 adults were aboard, even before counting for children who have not yet been included in the records. 77 people have been rescued and taken to safety as boats, a helicopter, and underwater search teams continue the operation. With 27 people still unaccounted for, authorities fear the death toll could rise. The exact cause of the tragedy remains under investigation, with overloading and vessel safety condition also likely to come under scrutiny.
And with that, wrap up this edition of Live and Breaking. But on the other side, we'll bring you the details on the report that has been tabled in the Parliament in connection with Justice Verma's cash scandal. We also bring you what Amit Shah has said in the Parliament as he dares the opposition to come over for a debate.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
सैंडविच, लस्सी और छाछ।
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट। अब बताओ, स्वाद आया?
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चमकी चाट।
AU करंट अकाउंट के साथ मिलता है फ्री UPI QR ओवरड्राफ्ट फैसिलिटी और एक ही ऐप से बैंक के सारे काम। AU
सोच बदलो और बैंक भी।
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी एवरीडे।
खुद अपनी आंखों के सामने लोगों को मरते शहीद होते देख के मैं आया हूँ। बहुत हालात ख़राब हो चुके हैं, बहुत हालात ख़राब हो चुके हैं। इंटरनेशनल मीडिया को, सारी दुनिया को टैग करें और हम तक पहुँचाएं यार। इस वक्त यहाँ पे एम्बुलेंसेस की तादाद जो है वो कम पड़ गई है, गाड़ियाँ कम पड़ चुकी हैं। लोग जो है अपने ज़ख्मियों को अपनी मदद आपके तहत, कोई इधर से पकड़ा हुआ, को उधर से, और रोड पे लहू ही लहू है। लगातार फायरिंग जारी है। ऐसा लग रहा है कि हम फलस्तीन में हैं कसम से। इन्होंने वो हालत बनाई हुई है। फोर्सेस की फायरिंग से जो है ना, इस वक्त बेशुमार नौजवान शहीद जख्मी हो चुके हैं और बेशुमार लोग शहीद हो चुके हैं। देख सकते हैं ये पाकिस्तानी फोर्सेस की बर्बरियत और जो है ना पाकिस्तानी फोर्सेस की फायरिंग से जो है ना, ये देखें किस तरह नौजवानों को, किस तरह स्ट्रेट फायर मारे जा रहे हैं नौजवानों को। ये देखें पाकिस्तानी फोर्सेस ने स्ट्रेट फायर किए नौजवानों को।
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो, मिलाओ और खाओ।
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है, सबका राजा हार्डवेयर मसाला।
यानी इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं।
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा। रुंगटा स्टील TMT से बना,
रूंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रूंगटा स्टील टीएम की बात एकदम सॉलिड।
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
सैंडविच लस्सी और छाछ
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट, ड्राई फ्रूट और दही बड़े।
चमकी चाट से स्वाद बढ़े।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चंकी चाट।
Umpteen number of times the Modi government also has taken resort to, whenever the bills have come where you need to take all stakeholders involved on board, and the government from the day one has said that insofar as FCRA is concerned, we can speak to anyone and everyone and convince them that this is not targeted at them. For example, the Home Minister himself has met not once, twice Christian delegations and told them that it is not targeted at them, and that even if you look at it, the contributions to church or churches in the country or missionaries just about 15 or 17%. And I've spoken to people in the agencies and they say that it's, our law also needs to be made compatible with, for example, the FATF.
Yes.
Likely, Niranjan, I can tell you that the bill might be brought in tomorrow and then referred to the JPC.
Okay, now this is turning out to be the tricky one, because we just had some more information that, for example, the Sharad Pawar faction of the NCP wants the bill to go to the JPC, not withdraw or against, but they're saying, okay, send it to the JPC. But they also need the support of Sharad Pawar's party for delimitation. Not sure about this session, but at least in the next, maybe they're testing the numbers. But it's turning out to be really tricky with the numbers. What's the game plan there?
Well, you see, so far as numbers for a legislation like FCRA is concerned, that's not a problem, Niranjan. It does not need a special majority, in the sense it does not need a constitutional majority. Now, delimitation obviously is a work in progress. The government has a certain deadline in mind, for sure. But remember, delimitation by its very nature, apart from needing a special majority in Parliament, in both the houses of Parliament separately, it also needs to be passed by more than half the number of states. So it's a long process. I don't think, as I understand it, and as I have been given to understand when I have checked, that FCRA is in any ways linked with delimitation, or is there a trade-off? Because FCRA is a very significant piece of legislation connected with national security and overall social harmony. And to that extent, I think the government is very clear. FCRA is independent. Bring it in, give it to the JPC, let the views be discussed, let all the stakeholders be involved, and pass it perhaps in the winter session of Parliament. But so far as delimitation is concerned, obviously it's a work in progress. The government is slow.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Scathing comments there, conclusion rather, by a three-member Judicial Inquiry Committee that has come to the conclusion that Justice Yashwant Verma couldn't present credible information on what were the ownership details of the currency found from his residence, and in fact the report goes on to indict Justice Verma for his absolute failure to present a cogent case in his defense. That's our focus. Let's begin with the headlines.
Headlines brought to you by Canara Bank. Together we can.
Justice Yashwant Verma indicted in cash scandal case. Report says substantial unexplained rupees 500 notes stash found at his storeroom. Republic accesses full 126-page report in Justice Yashwant Verma cash scandal. Report states judge failed to furnish explanation.
सरकार की ओर से किरण रिजिजू जी ने, जो हमारे पार्लियामेंट्री अफेयर्स मिनिस्टर है, उन्होंने बहुत स्पष्ट कर दिया है कि जो नीट आंदोलन के छात्र प्रदर्शन पर सभी प्रकार की चर्चा करने के लिए सरकार तैयार है.
Amit Shah says ready for discussion in Parliament, dares opposition, asks opposition not to run away from the debate.
We are not interested in listening to Mr. Amit Shah's imagination. We are not interested in him giving us a lecture or a discussion.
Lok Sabha Leader of Opposition Rahul Gandhi says opposition not interested in listening to Home Minister's lectures in Parliament.
गृह मंत्री जी ने मुझे कॉपी दे करके स्पीकर साहब को लोकसभा में फिर से लेटर लिखा कि हम डिस्कशन के लिए बहुत खुले मन से, विस्तार से, डिटेल से डिस्कशन के लिए तैयार है.
Parliamentary Affairs Minister hits back. Kiren Rijiju says Home Minister was ready for debate, yet Congress ran away from it. Exclusive details of Air India mid-air scandal accessed. It is confirmed now that pilot in command was under the influence of drugs. Co-pilot of Air India plane stabilized and landed Air India flight. The co-pilot informed ground crew about pilot in command's condition. All right, friends, so let's begin with the story under focus, which is that we have accessed 126 pages of report of Justice Yashwant Verma cash scandal, the only channel with the full 126-page cash stash report. The report with the Republic says the following, that unexplained 500 rupee notes in the storeroom of Justice Verma, and the judge failed to furnish explanation, and no signs of conspiracy against justice, and his reply was evasive and unsatisfactory. The judge's reply incomplete and misleading. Material objects were altered or removed. Essentially, the report goes on to slam Justice Verma for tinkering with the scene of crime, as one would call it. The spot from where the currency notes in half-burnt state were found, bundles of them, stashes of them, and then subsequently, equally mysteriously, they disappeared, and the inquiry report finding faults with Justice Verma for tinkering with the spot in a manner and not able to explain where the stash went subsequently, which means the report is effectively suggesting that, or saying rather, that Justice Verma had a role in removal of the evidence from the spot. All right, let's listen to some of the voices from so we have Satish Manishinde joining us, senior advocate of Bombay High Court, joining us, I believe, live on this. And Mr. Manishinde, how do you see this report? It clearly indicts Justice Verma for misleading, for effectively lying, for having destroyed the evidence and not being able to explain how the cash found itself there in the first place.
Well, right from March 2025, the entire country is embroiled into this investigation to find out how the judge was in possession of such a huge amount of cash in his bungalow. And his explanation was sought by the Chief Justice of India. Once the Chief Justice of India found that his explanation was not sufficient enough, he referred the matter to the Prime Minister and the Government of India, sent his report. He also asked Justice Verma to either resign because he found enough material against him, or face the impeachment proceedings. And Justice Verma decided to face the impeachment proceedings. Even given a chance, he refused to step into the box and, be cross-examined by the committee and other people connected with the committee. Therefore, it is obvious that he had no explanation. Now, first of all, one has to find out from where the cash landed in his bungalow. Secondly, after it was found after the fire, how did it disappear and who all were those people responsible for destruction of evidence and secreting the material involved in crime. And thirdly, and most importantly, the fact that Justice Verma's personal belongings were in one of the lockers goes beyond reasonable doubt to prove that Justice Verma was in possession of that entire premises. He was allotted the bungalow. He was responsible for the entire incidents in that bungalow. And now he can't feign ignorance and say that the cash did not belong to him.
Yeah.
And if at all his explanation is that the cash did not belong to him, he must disclose to whom the cash belongs. The corridors of the Supreme Court and other power corridors are, agog with material discussions to say that one senior person connected with the Delhi judiciary was involved in destruction of evidence, and whatever was found in that bungalow thereafter was secreted away and taken to a farmhouse. Therefore, all these rumors are being spoken about. So it is high time Justice Verma comes out with the truth and tells the nation to whom the cash belonged and why he stored it there, if at all it was not his. And if it came in his bungalow, how did it come in the bungalow and how did it disappear? So he can't feign ignorance to say that it did not belong to him.
Yeah, Mr. Manishinde, one very interesting aspect that comes out in this guilty report is that Justice Verma in his defense said this seems like a conspiracy against him. But when he was asked to present himself, I think he excused himself. He said he did not come and submit himself to questioning on, apart from a written statement, submit himself to questioning as to what happened to the cash afterwards, how did it disappear from the spot, who owned it, if it was there, who brought it there. So he did not submit himself to questioning. Obviously, that's almost gives an idea of the mea culpa there.
It is common sense and trite law also that if a person takes up a defense which is proven to be false and without any material, it is for him to explain as to how it landed there. So if a person takes a false defense and is caught using a false defense, it is obvious that he is guilty of the alleged crime. And therefore, my humble submission is that Justice Verma should come out with the truth and tell the nation why and how the cash landed there and how it disappeared and who was responsible for destruction of evidence. See, if it was anybody else's bungalow, the entire sequence of events as to how the cash came there, how the fire took place, how the cash disappeared, how the scene of crime was destroyed, could all be investigated and proven by technical evidence. There are CCTV cameras all over Delhi, and I'm sure there is enough CCTV material which can bring the culprits to book to suggest that those who brought the cash, those who took away the cash, those who destroyed it, and come on, it was the entire bungalow was under the surveillance of the police, highly regarded CRPF and other people. So there would be good witnesses in this case.
Yeah. I mean, this was supposed to be for impeachment, but obviously since he has resigned, that proceeding itself becomes infructuous.
No, until and unless the resignation is accepted, he cannot be let off. So impeachment proceedings will continue, and I'm sure the Indian Parliament will be brave enough to impeach this corrupt judge.
Very nice. Thank you so much, Mr. Satish Manishinde, their legal expert, joining us from Mumbai. And that's also one of the stories in Prime Time Focus, the accountability in judiciary. And this report seriously indicts Justice Verma. And would this provide an opportunity for a spotlight on this very important subject? That's Prime Time debate. But moving on for now, Republic super exclusive. The entire Air India 300 feet drop explained in a report. It reveals stunning onboard failures and Air India maintenance post-flight report accessed by your channel. The actual AI 2379 Phuket Delhi flight report, 11 warning messages triggered in 120 seconds. The autopilot went off twice on that flight. The first report generated after Air India incident, what explains 11 hydraulic failures in 2 minutes, which means that while the pilot was high on marijuana, there were some technical issues also in the flight, essentially maintenance issues. Now, what explains this hopeless state of affairs in Air India is something for their management to explain, but surprisingly, or perhaps not surprisingly so, they have chosen to remain silent except for one statement, which was just a templated reply acknowledging that this incident happened. We have Niranjan joining us from the newsroom for more on this. Niranjan, what is this report that you have? What does it say about the situation or the condition that the airline is being run in?
You know, Abhishek, I have this report in my hand, and what we'll also try and do in the course of the next few minutes is try and get a few aviation experts with us. This is the immediate report, Abhishek, of AI 2379, the Phuket to Delhi flight. It was an Airbus A320. Now, this flight, if I can ask my video, okay, I'm going to come a little closer to the camera. I have the full report with me in my hand, okay? This is the report as it stands, if I can just zoom into this. Now, what this report shows you, Abhishek, it's a Republic exclusive, so let's put the watermark on this, right? This is you have the time here and the kind of failure. This is the warning or maintenance status messages that is shown here. Date 4th of August, that is when the flight dropped 300 feet mid-air. The flight number AI 2379, right? And I have the timing of the report. This particular report, GMT, that's Greenwich Meridian Time, 5:44 a.m. And now when you look at this, the series of failures, Abhishek, I have the series of failures here. Thoda zoom in. यहाँ पे थोड़ा zoom in कीजिए. If you just zoom in here, I hope it's not blurring because it's okay. Take a look at this. Now, in a span of about 2 minutes, Abhishek, 120 seconds, what you see here, and I will read out over this, right? At 4:02, you have a hydraulic green system, low pressure. These are warning and maintenance status messages. So at 4:02 mid-air, you have hydraulic green systems, low pressure, hydraulic blue and yellow systems, low pressure, hydraulic green and blue low systems, low pressure. Autopilot goes off at the same time at 4:02. At 4:02, there's also a flight control left and right elevator fault. At 4:02, there's a hydraulic green and yellow systems low pressure failure. At 4:02, there's a hydraulic green systems low pressure. At 4:02, there's a hydraulic yellow reservoir low level. At 4:02, there's a hydraulic reservoir low level blue. At 4:03, there's a door right forward emergency exit warning message. At 4:05, there's a door rear aft emergency exit warning. Now, all of this happened at 4:02, Abhishek. Now, this is a hydraulic failure. 10 to 11 hydraulic failures in about 120 seconds. Now, we have the full report with us, right? Now, what caused that drop, we don't know. We are no experts. But what I can tell you is that this is a maintenance post-flight report. And there is a drop at 4:02. You see the drop here. At 4:02, all these things happen simultaneously. There's a hydraulic systems low pressure in blue and yellow, green and blue. Autopilot goes off. Interestingly, at 5:22, the autopilot goes off again. So the autopilot went off twice. It was disconnected at least twice. We have the full report. This is the actual raw report, Abhishek. This is the actual report that was taken out immediately after the incident. And I have it with us. I don't know whether we have Group Captain Agustin Vinod joining us. He's joining us live. Group Captain Agustin Vinod. He will be able to break this down for us, Abhishek.
Yeah.
Group Captain Agustin Vinod. What are did the hydraulic failures happen first and then the flight drops 300 feet? Or did the hydraulic failures, were that a result of a human error? How do you read this report, Group Captain Vinod? And how can the autopilot, get disconnected twice? What's the story here?
Good question, Niranjan. See, transient failures when you encounter turbulence can occur, and it is enshrined in the document, because the turbulence, especially at very high altitude, is can be a violent event. And I've been in some severe turbulence myself. It can be a violent event. Autopilot cutting off and a minor failure occurring in turbulence is something that many pilots have seen. But all these failures together, at least I am seeing for the first time. I mean, if this document is...
Mr. Group Captain Vinod, we have some audio issue there. We'll fix it and come back to you because this needs to be really explained to our viewers as to what this, what these technical glitches mean. Like these happened while the flight was in air and the pilot in command was not in command. Niranjan, so basically it's coming together of two events. One is that the pilot in command was high and he was not in his chair. He had left it on autopilot, and that the co-pilot had to really take charge of things. And then these technical glitches that speak volumes about the manner in which the airline is being run.
Abhishek, I'm not an expert and I only have the report, but what I can certainly ask legitimately as a journalist is, were all these errors, were all these warning messages triggered as a result of a human failure and a drop? Because, for example, what caught my eye was the door rear forward emergency exit and door rear forward after emergency exit. This is at 403, 405. So at 402, all these warning messages happen, and at 405 and 403 and 405, 2 minutes after that, there's the emergency exit error. So we don't know whether something fell on the door and the warning messages were triggered. And all of these messages all these warnings are triggered, in seconds, Abhishek, perhaps happening at the same time. So was it a result of the drop, or was the drop a result of the failures? Now, I think that's a legitimate question to ask. Certainly we can ask the experts, and perhaps it also explains why Airbus has been roped into the investigation. France's BAE will also be traveling to India to take a look at this, because for this to happen on an Airbus A320 at a time when Boeing is also being investigated, and there are only Boeing and Airbus. I mean, these are the only two, ironically, these are the only two, airline manufacturers we have to rely on for any of our flying and for our airline needs. So this is an extremely critical report, I think, which will be looked at very closely. The warning messages are back to back. There are 11 warning messages in about 120 seconds. I think in 60 seconds, there are about 10 warning messages. So did something go wrong? Was there a malfunction that led to the drop, or did turbulence lead to a drop, or was that pilot who was high, who was out of his senses, who was drugged out? From all details that we're picking up, in fact, even the cabin crew this morning, from the details we've picked up, cabin crew found out that he was completely indisposed. He was disheveled. He was not in a position to fly. He was on the cockpit floor. They had to lift him from the cockpit floor and put him back on the seat. And a co-pilot eventually had to, land the plane in Delhi. I mean, just imagine how scary this situation is. And to top that up, Abhishek, when you look at that video that we showed yesterday, right? There's a video where you can hear the pilot saying, and he sounds completely off. He's almost begging people, passengers, not to record what is happening on the flight.
Yeah.
Right? It's adding up. He was not in his senses, and he's begging passengers not to shoot videos or post them on social media. Perhaps he knows what's gone wrong already. Let's see if Group Captain Agustin Vinod is back. We'll go back to him. He's not there. Okay, he's not there. But I think we'll try and get a few experts also live in the next few minutes. Maybe they'll be able to, break this down for us and explain what these failures meant, back-to-back failures, and whether they were part of, whether these failures led to the fall, or the drop, or was there a human error that triggered these error messages?
All right, thank you so much, Niranjan. In fact, that's the agenda, primetime debate tonight, because the situation in which our civil aviation sector is in cannot be left like that. Accountability needs to be fixed, and it seems like not just an industry-wide phenomenon, but also involves bodies like the DGCA, regulator included. So that's going to be our focus, but we are slipping to a short break. Coming up on the other side, more on the AI Phuket Delhi flight, 300 feet drop, what happened, we explain with a report coming out.
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
सैंडविच, लस्सी और छाछ।
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट। अब बताओ स्वाद आया?
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चमकी चाट।
AU सेविंग्स अकाउंट में मिलते हैं अमेजिंग बेनिफिट्स, पेपरलेस बैंकिंग एंड हायर इंटरेस्ट, वो भी हर महीने।
मनी 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 एवरी मंथ। सोच बदलो और बैंक भी।
कुछ तो सस्ता लो,
सब बढ़िया लो।
इसमें क्या खास बात है?
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। मसाला।
खुद अपनी आंखों के सामने लोगों को मरते शहीद होते देख के मैं आया हूँ। बहुत हालात ख़राब हो चुके हैं, बहुत हालात ख़राब हो चुके हैं। इंटरनेशनल मीडिया को, सारी दुनिया को टैग करें और हम तक पहुँचाएं यार। इस वक्त यहाँ पे एम्बुलेंसेस की तादाद जो है वो कम पड़ गई है, गाड़ियाँ कम पड़ चुकी हैं। लोग जो है अपने ज़ख्मियों को अपनी मदद आपके तहत, कोई इधर से पकड़ा हुआ, को उधर से, और रोड पे लहू ही लहू है। लगातार फायरिंग जारी है, ऐसा लग रहा है कि हम फलस्तीन में हैं। कसम से इन्होंने वो हालत बनाई हुई है। फोर्सेस की फायरिंग से जो है ना, इस वक्त बेशुमार नौजवान शहीद जख्मी हो चुके हैं और बेशुमार लोग शहीद हो चुके हैं। देख सकते हैं ये पाकिस्तानी फोर्सेस की बर्बरियत और जो है ना पाकिस्तानी फोर्सेस की फायरिंग से जो है ना, ये देखें किस तरह नौजवानों को, किस तरह स्ट्रेट फायर मारे जा रहे हैं नौजवानों को। ये देखें पाकिस्तानी फोर्सेस ने स्ट्रेट फायर किए नौजवानों पे। ये देखें लोग, छोड़ो। हमारे बहुत सारे भाई जख्मी हो चुके हैं। अल्लाह की जात हमारे भाइयों की हिफाजत करे, अल्लाह की जात हमारे भाइयों की हिफाजत करे। क्या सूरत आली? सूरत बहुत बुरी है, सबको मारे जा रहे हैं लगातार। इसके अंदर 3 बंदूकों हेडशॉट की इन्होंने की है, कितने के बच्चों ने, 15 से 20 लोग, और बहुत सारे बंदूकों ने इनको जख्मी किया है। बहुत सारे हमारे भाई जख्मी हो चुके हैं। Allahu Akbar.
15 से 20 नौजवानों को गोलियां लग चुकी हैं, कम से कम 15 से 20 नौजवानों को गोलियां लग चुकी हैं।
बहुत सारे भाई हमारे जख्मी हो गए हैं भाई।
Right, coming up after a short break, the 300 feet drop explained, an exclusive report access by Republic.
Our pure Shahi Paneer Masala. Delicious, healthy, every day.
I wake up wearing someone else again. Don't let it slip. I'm losing. I don't wanna be safe anymore. Underneath, there's a
Finding myself. That's my moment of Sarah.
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है? आलू चाट या फ्रूट चाट, स्वाद बनाए चमकी चाट।
क्या बात है? स्वादिष्ट पकोड़े और परेशान, अरे चमकी चाट है इसकी जान।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चंकी चाट।
Umpteen number of times the Modi government also has taken resort to, whenever the bills have come where you need to take all stakeholders involved on board, and the government from the day one has said that insofar as FCRA is concerned, we can speak to anyone and everyone and convince them that this is not targeted at them. For example, the Home Minister himself has met not once, twice Christian delegations and told them that it is not targeted at them, and that even if you look at it, the contributions to church or churches in the country or missionaries just about 15 or 17%. And I've spoken to people in the agencies and they say that it's, our law also needs to be made compatible with, for example, the FATF.
Yes.
Likely, Niranjan, I can tell you that the bill might be brought in tomorrow and then referred to the JPC.
Okay, now this is turning out to be the tricky one, because we just had some more information that, for example, the Sharad Pawar faction of the NCP wants the bill to go to the JPC, not withdraw or against, but they're saying, okay, send it to the JPC. But they also need the support of Sharad Pawar's party for delimitation. Not sure about this session, but at least in the next, maybe they're testing the numbers. But it's turning out to be really tricky with the numbers. What's the game plan there?
Well, you see, so far as numbers for a legislation like FCRA is concerned, that's not a problem, Niranjan. It does not need a special majority, in the sense it does not need a constitutional majority. Now, delimitation obviously is a work in progress. The government has a certain deadline in mind, for sure. But remember, delimitation by its very nature, apart from needing a special majority in Parliament, in both the houses of Parliament separately, it also needs to be passed by more than half the number of states. So it's a long process.
Headlines brought to you by Canara Bank. Together we can.
Republic accesses the Air India maintenance post-flight report, which reveals 11 warning messages being triggered in 120 seconds mid-air. Exclusive details of Air India mid-air scandal access. It's now confirmed that the pilot in command was under the influence of drugs. He was stoned, he was drugged out mid-air. Sources say the co-pilot of the Air India AI-2379 stabilized and landed the Air India flight. The co-pilot then informed the ground crew about the pilot in command's condition. Justice Yashwant Verma indicted in the cash scandal. Report says substantial unexplained 500 rupee notes were found at his storeroom in Delhi. Republic accesses the 126-page report in the Justice Yashwant Verma cash scandal. The report confirms that the judge failed to give any explanation on where and how he got the money.
We are not interested in listening to Mr. Amit Shah's imagination. We are not interested in him giving us a lecture or a discussion.
Leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi says that the opposition and his party specifically is not interested in listening to the Home Minister's lecture in Parliament.
गृह मंत्री जी ने मुझे कॉपी दे करके स्पीकर साहब को लोकसभा में फिर से लेटर लिखा कि हम डिस्कशन के लिए बहुत खुले मन से, विस्तार से, डिटेल से डिस्कशन के लिए तैयार है.
Kiran Rijiju and the government calling out the Congress party says Home Minister ready for a debate, but the Congress shifting the goalpost again and is running away from discussing NEET issue in Parliament. Says he's never seen an opposition party like Congress.
Viewers, we begin with this Republic super exclusive, a major scoop. This is regarding the entire Air India flight that dropped 300 feet and now explained. A report reveals stunning on-board failures. The Air India maintenance post-flight report has been accessed. In fact, Republic is the only channel to access the actual Air India 2379 report. There were 11 warning messages that was triggered in 120 seconds. Autopilot went off twice on the Phuket to Delhi Air India flight. In fact, the first report generated after Air India incident. What explains is that 11 hydraulic failures in 2 minutes. So these are some of the visuals on your screen. There have been several lapses that have been triggered. Autopilot was also triggered during this flight from Phuket to Delhi. And in fact, Republic super exclusive that Republic has access that there have been 11 warning messages that were triggered within 120 seconds. That even the autopilot went off, not just once, twice it went off, and during the flight as well. And the first one was generated after this incident. In fact, we have more. Right, now I'm joined by Executive Editor Niranjan to give us more information in this. Niranjan, tell us more what this exclusive that Republic has access on the flight that dropped 300 feet.
So we have accessed the immediate report of what really happened on board AI 2379. Now that's the Phuket to New Delhi flight, which experienced a 300-foot drop mid-air, and we've accessed the first post-flight report, the maintenance post-flight report, and it's on the screen, and I have a copy of it, so I'd like to read from it as well. And this report says, maybe we can show that full frame, and I'll read off it. It shows that, yeah, you have it full frame. Now, you have at least 10 to 11 hydraulic failures back-to-back. You have, in a span of about 60 seconds, at least 11 failures. Hydraulic G system low pressure, hydraulic blue and yellow system low pressure, hydraulic green and blue system low pressure, autopilot goes off, flight control left and right elevator fault detected, hydraulic green and yellow system low pressure, hydraulic green systems low pressure, hydraulic yellow reservoir low level, hydraulic blue reservoir low level, and 60 seconds later, door right forward emergency exit also starts, showing a warning maintenance status message, and followed by at 4:05 door rear aft emergency exit also showing an error message. And before the flight landed, the autopilot went off a second time. So now this is to any layman, I think what this shows is that there were several errors on the flight. Now, how did this trigger? What went wrong? Is it a technical fault, a hydraulic failure on board, or was it triggered by human error? Now, these are, answers that only investigators can give. I think we have Vandana Singh. Vandana, are you there? Hi, good evening.
Ranjan, thank you for having me there.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of questions need to be answered over here, which the FDR and the CVR are going to reveal. Let the investigation take its shape right now, because on one hand, as we know, we have what we call a technical glitch that was said earlier. And if this is showing as triple hydraulic failure, I am surprised how come the aircraft was taken all the way to Delhi, and why did it not land in Bhubaneswar or Lucknow or Varanasi, whatever was closest? If this is the way the erroneous, or this is way the messages are showing about the hydraulic failure. Now, if there was clear air turbulence, as I have said, which is what happens over Bay of Bengal, that side moving over from Myanmar, Southeast Asia, coming this side into India, then that can be a combination along with this, which can cause the downward draft. This is my first take on these messages that have come, that could have caused the downward draft of 300 feet. But also there could be a human angle to it. That, of course, the dope test is saying what the facts are. So it's a accumulation or a concoction of a lot of factors which have to be investigated, and the report has to come out quick and fast by the AIB. This is my take on it, Niranjan.
Okay, stay with me, because I also have Group Captain Agustin Vinod. He's an IF veteran. He's also an investigator of such issues. So I'll just get a word from him. Group Captain Agustin Vinod, there can only be two possibilities, right? It's an Airbus. Was it a technical fault on the Airbus? Back-to-back failures that led to that 300-foot drop? Or was it human error that led to the drop and that triggered these warning messages? Now, what could have happened? What are the possibilities? Of course, we can't conclude saying this happened, that happened. But what do all these 13 or 14 errors, actually it's 13 plus 3, 16 errors. 16 errors mid-air before the flight landed. What do they indicate? Group Captain Vinod.
Thank you, Niranjan. See, there are two issues are connected and one is not. First, if it is a technical preceded the drop, then it won't be a transient failure. I'm repeating myself. If it was technical followed by the altitude drop, the error won't be transient. So it is the altitude drop followed by the technical, because, like ma'am said, because of severe turbulence, when there is a altitude drop, then a transient failure can occur because of negative G. And it immediately goes off. If you look at the time, occurs at 0402 and vanishes also by 0402. The other two failures of anti-ice and autopilot tripping off is much, much later and not connected to the drop. The drop has happened at 0402 and it finished at 0402. So the negative G is what, in my opinion, caused this transient failure to occur. And during turbulence, transient failure can occur. So that is enshrined in the document. So nothing new there. Many times in turbulence, autopilot, most of the times in turbulence, the autopilot cuts out, because autopilot has only a certain amount of authority. Beyond that authority, if control moves to control the aeroplane, autopilot says, okay, now hand it over to more capable person than me, that is the pilot. There comes the third angle. The pilot who was flying is called the PF. PF was not the person, as far as I know, who tested positive. So PF was the person who was more capable. So the angle of toxicology report has absolutely zero bearing on what happened here. Apparently, he was standing. I mean, he was not even sitting at which he is permitted to, because in a long flight, every pilot can stand up to, get the blood flow back into his leg. So the PF was the junior of the two pilots who was not tested positive. So the other person who was standing and mere spectator. So him getting positive has, like I said, absolutely no bearing on what happened. So we should not run around a red herring. We should look at things as it unfolds, because once again, we are only six blind men, trying to find whether the elephant is fat or thin by looking, holding its trunk or tail. So we need to be a little more careful there. That's what I've been saying since yesterday. We need to be a little more careful, but absolutely bang on. This document that you obtained from your sources clearly indicates there have been umpteen number of issues with hydraulic. Hydraulic, mind you, is a fluid. Like fuel, hydraulic is a fluid. And these are fluid-related issues, which, in my intelligent understanding, happens when you have very high amount of negative G, which is a pushover. So, which also is corroborated by 300 feet height drop and passengers going and hitting because they were not strapped.
But Group Captain Vinod, are you saying that... No, 1 minute, 1 second. See, there is also... The report details of this smoked out, drugged out pilot in the sky. The guy was high, he had smoked pot. The co-pilot had to drag him and put him back on his seat. And the co-pilot then eventually landed the flight. Okay? So I think that is more or less established now. There are two positive reports. Even the government has said non-negative, or DGC has said non-negative, which means positive, and there's a confirmatory report that shows that there has been two positive reports. So the guy was obviously not in his senses. You're saying it's not linked to this at all. Now we can't give him a clean sheet, because see, now there is another aspect to it. Of course, you're an expert, you are a pilot, you'll give us the technical aspects of it, fantastic, that's great. But just think of people like everyone else. I mean, people like me, people like my family, people who are watching, viewers, everybody watching this. It's a scary situation where you have a pilot who smokes up whatever, I don't know what marijuana, drugs, God knows what, and then he takes flight. He's a pilot in command. How can a person like that first take the flight, be in command, so to say, without a test, right? And our DGCA, our rules are so great here in India that I was reading that the first time you're caught, you're given time for another test. And then you're given first suspension of a few months, and then second time you get suspension for another 3 months, and the third time you get a permanent cancellation. So you're waiting for 3 accidents to happen. People could die in the first one. It's crazy.
No, that's not true, Naranjan. So you need to understand, PIC need not be PM or PF. So PIC is different. Pilot in command need not be the pilot on control, which is what happened here. No, the pilot in command was standing behind the seat because he was trying to get the blood flow back or whatever. We are permitted to get up one after the other so that your lower extremities or lower body doesn't go numb. So the guy who was flying was the co-pilot, but he was the PF pilot flying. There's a difference. So whether the pilot in command who was standing behind the seat had a toxicology positive, in this incident, I'm saying, absolutely no doubt, it is harakiri. In fact, I don't know how many people know this. In Middle East and all, it is death. If you're found with this kind of marijuana or whatever, the penalty is death penalty. So there are countries which take it extremely seriously. I'm not saying we should not take it seriously. We should absolutely take it seriously. But ours is, a democratic country, so there is a
Sir, one second. Can I just pause you there for a second? Can I just pause you there for a second? You're saying there's death penalty in some of the Gulf countries if a pilot is caught in a situation like this, intoxicated or on drugs, right? And you're saying it's democracy in India. To what level, to what extent? You had the Ajit Pawar, yesterday we were mentioning in the Ajit Pawar crash, the captain there, Captain Sumit Malik, if I'm not wrong, that was his name, he was caught in 2010, first time tested positive for alcohol, second time in 2017, was caught again intoxicated, and then there were chat messages between that aviation company, I forget the name, I think it's VSR or something, where the owner of the company is telling this pilot, you better behave yourself. behave yourself because you have a VIP flight coming, and lo and behold, you have the same pilot crash the plane. Ajit Pawar is dead. I mean, it's a joke in India, sir. It's a joke. People are watching. It's a joke. I mean, you pray before every flight, hoping that you bloody land alive. I mean, when you land, when the plane is landing, you're praying that you're alive at the end of it. It's a joke.
That is also not true, Niranjan, because 99% of the pilots, they lead a very ascetic life. You can't believe, I mean, if I have to get up at 2 o'clock for a 4:30 flight, I sleep at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the evening in a different room. So pilots lead an ascetic life, and no news is a good news, isn't it? And an uneventful flight is the best flight. And 99% of the flight in India is uneventful flight. No event at all.
No, but that doesn't justify somebody being intoxicated.
Yes, they took off from one place
Group
and
Captain
landed
Vinod,
safely on the other place.
Group Captain, but Vinod, it doesn't mean that it doesn't give the right for somebody to be intoxicated on a flight. I mean, they should be like, license should be cancelled immediately.
Absolutely not.
That's all I'm asking.
It will be. It is cancelled. In India, it is completely intoxicated. Means you're in flight is job is you're terminated from the job. There is no two ways about it. I mean, we don't take it lightly at all. In fact, most of the countries, pre-flight breath analyzer and post-flight from abroad breath analyzer is not there. It is random. But in India, it is mandatory. Every flight, before the flight, there is a breath analyzer test that India goes through, which is more stringent than anybody abroad, including United States, including UK, including Europe. So there, every pre-flight, there is no breath analyzer test. In India, we do it every flight. And every flight coming from abroad, we do. Every flight, without fail. Whereas abroad, it is again random. And here, the substance test, we do 10%, which is as per International Civil Aviation Authority, which we have to abide by norm. That post this may increase I'm just, guessing, that post this incident, that 10% may go to 20 or 25%. The problem is the result takes 24 to 48 hours to come, depending on what all substances you are going to test. Because there are now umpteen number, I don't even know the names, umpteen number of substances are there, and for that, test is different, Niranjan. For every substance, the test is different. Either some of the substance, the test is from the blood, and some of the substance, the test is from the urine.
I somehow, okay, I'll take you on the technical aspect of it, but I feel you're extremely lenient on the pilots. Even if one pilot is caught, testing positive, action should be taken immediately.
Not at all.
But anyway, we leave it at that. I mean, we can agree to disagree. Absolutely. I think that's completely fine. And I'll leave it at that. Look forward to speaking to you again. This is a report that we've accessed, ladies and gentlemen. It just shows you that there were 11 to 13, not 13, more than that. There were 16 hydraulic failures, 16 errors within minutes on the Air India 2379, the Phuket to Delhi flight, which dropped 300 foot. You're seeing the result of that. I mean, more than 20 people injured, and the investigation is on. This is the flight report. It tells you there's much more than what meets the eye. That's why you have a team from France coming down to also investigate what really happened on board midair. Back to you for now, Amrita.
Right. Thank you so much for bringing that down, Niranjan. And in fact, we will continue to track this story on Air India. And our viewers, we take a short break, but we'll be coming back with more on the other side coming up after a short break. Justice Yashwant Verma indicted in cash scandal case. Report says substantial cash was found in his official residence, and there has been no concrete and satisfactory explanation in that. Coming up next.
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ 8 मिनट में तैयार क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है
सैंडविच लस्सी और छाछ
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट अब बताओ स्वाद आया
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चंकी चाट।
खुद अपनी आंखों के सामने लोगों को मरते शहीद होते देख के मैं आया हूँ। बहुत हालात ख़राब हो चुके हैं, बहुत हालात ख़राब हो चुके हैं। इंटरनेशनल मीडिया को, सारी दुनिया को टैग करें और हम तक पहुँचाएं यार। इस वक्त यहाँ पे एम्बुलेंसेस की तादाद जो है वो कम पड़ गई है, गाड़ियाँ कम पड़ चुकी हैं। लोग जो है अपने ज़ख्मियों को अपनी मदद आपके तहत, कोई इधर से पकड़ा हुआ को उधर से, और रोड्स पे लहू ही लहू है। लगातार फायरिंग जारी है। ऐसा लग रहा है कि हम फलस्तीन में हैं कसम से। इन्होंने वो हालत बनाई हुई है। फोर्सेस की फायरिंग से जो है ना, इस वक्त बेशुमार नौजवान शहीद जख्मी हो चुके हैं और बेशुमार लोग शहीद हो चुके हैं। देख सकते हैं ये पाकिस्तानी फोर्सेस की बर्बरियत और जो है ना पाकिस्तानी फोर्सेस की फायरिंग से जो है ना, ये देखें किस तरह नौजवानों को, किस तरह स्ट्रेट फायर मारे जा रहे हैं नौजवानों को। ये देखें पाकिस्तानी फोर्सेस ने स्ट्रेट फायर किए नौजवानों को। ये देखें लोग, रास्ता छोड़ो। हमारे बहुत सारे भाई जख्मी हो चुके हैं। अल्लाह की जात हमारे भाइयों की हिफाजत करे, अल्लाह की जात हमारे भाइयों की हिफाजत करे। क्या सूरत आली? सूरत बहुत बुरी है, सबको मारे जा रहे लगातार। इतने तक 3 बंदूकों हेडशॉट की इन्होंने किया है, कितने के बच्चों ने, 15 से 20 लोग और बहुत सारे बंदूकों ने इनको जख्मी किया है। बहुत सारे हमारे भाई जख्मी हो चुके हैं। अल्लाहु अकबर। 15 से 20 नौजवानों को गोलियां लग चुकी है, कम से कम 15 से 20 नौजवानों को गोलियां लग चुकी है। बहुत सारे भाई हमारे जख्मी हो गए हैं भाई।
Air India pilot was stoned and flying. Why flying rules are a joke in India? India, the destination for disasters, debating tonight at 9 p.m.
Presented by Amity University, ranked amongst the top 3% universities globally. Berger Paints, रंग बना रहे. Powered by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, growing legacies since 1820. Century HTF Premium Plus, हरे बोट का असली बॉस. Co-powered by Muthoot Finance Gold Loan, सोना क्या नहीं कर सकता.
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे. केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार. विमल, बोलो जुबां केसरी.
कुछ तो सस्ता लो,
सब बढ़िया लो.
इसमें क्या खास बात है?
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात.
हनी, इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं.
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा. रुंगटा स्टील टीएमटी से बना.
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं. रुंगटा स्टील टीएमटी बार एकदम सॉलिड.
चमकी चाट से क्या बना है?
सैंडविच, लस्सी और छाछ.
हर घूंट में चमकी चाट. ड्राई फ्रूट और दो ही बड़े।
चंकी चाट से स्वाद बढ़े।
असली स्वाद सिर्फ चंकी चाट।
Umpteen number of times the Modi government also has taken resort to, whenever the bills have come where you need to take all stakeholders involved on board, and the government from the day one has said that insofar as FCRA is concerned, we can speak to anyone and everyone and convince them that this is not targeted at them. For example, the Home Minister himself has met not once, twice Christian delegations and told them that it is not targeted at them, and that even if you look at it, the contributions to church or churches in the country or missionaries just about 15 or 17%. And I have spoken to people in the agencies and they say that it's, our law also needs to be made compatible with, for example, the FATF.
Yes.
Likely, Niranjan, I can tell you that the bill might be brought in tomorrow and then referred to the JPC.
Okay, now this is turning out to be the tricky one because we just had some more information that, for example, the Sharad Pawar faction of the NCP wants the bill to go to the JPC, not withdraw or against, but they're saying, okay, send it to the JPC. But they also need the support of Sharad Pawar's party for delimitation. Not sure about this session, but at least in the next, maybe they're testing the numbers. But it's turning out to be really tricky with the numbers. What's the game plan there?
Well, you see, so far as numbers for a legislation like FCRA is concerned, that's not a problem, Niranjan. It does not need a special majority, in the sense it does not need a constitutional majority. Now, delimitation obviously is a work in progress. The government has a certain deadline in mind, for sure. But remember, delimitation by its very nature, apart from needing a special majority in Parliament, in both the houses of Parliament separately, it also needs to be passed by more than half the number of states. So it's a long process. I don't think, as I understand it, and as I have been given to understand when I have checked, that FCRA is in any ways linked with delimitation, or is there a trade-off? Because FCRA is a very significant piece of legislation connected with national security and overall social harmony. And to that extent, I think the government is very clear. FCRA is independent. Bring it in, give it to the JPC, let the views be discussed, let all the stakeholders be involved, and pass it perhaps in the winter session of Parliament. But so far as delimitation is concerned, obviously it's a work in progress.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Republic. I'm Aditi Bhardwaj. The top story remains our focus is now after NEET, after Jharkhand, the concern is now shifting towards Punjab with paper leak accusations coming out. What are the courts saying about it? How in deep trouble is the Aam Aadmi Party government? We'll tell you more. But first up, let's take a look at the headlines. Republic accessed Air India maintenance post-flight report. Report reveals 11 warning messages were triggered in 120 seconds. Exclusive details of Air India mid-air scandal access. It's confirmed now that the pilot in command was under influence of drugs. Sources say co-pilot of Air India plane stabilized and landed Air India flight. Co-pilot informed ground crew about pilot in command's condition. Justice Yashwant Verma indicted in cash scandal case. Report says substantial unexplained 500 rupees notes found at Justice Verma's storeroom. No explanation given justified those cash. Republic accesses full 126-page report in Justice Yashwant Verma cash scandal. Report states judge failed to furnish explanation.
We are not interested in listening to Mr. Amit Shah's imagination. We are not interested in him giving us a lecture or a discussion.
Lok Sabha Leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi says opposition not interested in listening to Home Minister's lecture inside Parliament.
मंत्री जी ने मुझे कॉपी दे करके स्पीकर साहब को लोकसभा में फिर से लेटर लिखा कि हम डिस्कशन के लिए बहुत खुले मन से, विस्तार से, डिटेल से डिस्कशन के लिए तैयार है.
Kiran Rijiju calls out Congress as Home Minister is ready for debate, yet Congress is running away from the Parliament. Viewers, concerning times for students after Jharkhand now paper leak confirmed in Punjab with the Punjab High Court pulling up the government saying if there was paper leak, why didn't the government act in time? Why was the Aam Aadmi Party government, the Man government in Punjab sleeping on it? No certified action taken over it. Is this the reason why the Aam Aadmi Party is not visible in Jharkhand when students are protesting against paper leak in Jharkhand? Because their own house is shady, because they are themselves culprit of paper leak. These are some questions arising after the petition that was filed in the Punjab and Haryana High Court stating that there were several lapses. The cheating case inside the paper was at such a level that papers were scanned and papers were given out with answers coming in for the students. My colleague Lalit is joining me. Lalit, it has been now for days in news how the paper leak impacted the futures of many students there in Punjab. Tell us more about it.
It's a big jolt to the Aam Aadmi Party government in Punjab. Now, today the Punjab and Haryana High Court had stayed the pharmacy recruitment officer paper, which was held last month, that is on 19th July in the Baba Faridkot University in Batinda. So, it's a big jolt. If you talk about Aam Aadmi Party, has been number of times saying that it was not a paper of a matter of paper leak, but it was a case of cheating which took place last month, in which they promptly acted and around 26 persons were arrested immediately. But now this case was pending in the Punjab and Haryana High Court, and today in a big jolt to the Punjab government, now the pharmacy recruitment officer paper of pharmacy has been put on stay, and it's a big order which now the Aam Aadmi Party has to face. Apart from that, if we talk about from the past 3 to 4 weeks, there has been a lot of politics on that issue also, whereas the opposition, if we talk about whether it's the BJP, Akali Dal or the Congress, they have taken up this matter inside the monsoon session also. Apart from that, they have taken this matter in the roads also, whether it's the ABVP unit of Punjab or Chandigarh, they came on roads to address this issue. And finally today, in a big jolt to the Punjab, to the Aam Aadmi Party government, the Punjab and Haryana High Court have put the stay on the paper. If you talk about this whole paper, last month on 19th July, this paper took place for the 454 posts in which through the devices, that is the Bluetooth and the highly equipped devices, the paper was sent outside as claimed by the Aam Aadmi Party and the Punjab police. But when this matter came into highlight, it was immediately said that it was not a case of paper cheating, but it was a case matter of paper leak. So finally today the Punjab and Haryana High Court had put the stay on that paper.
Absolutely. This also raises concerns why the opposition was missing in action in Jharkhand. This is because the JMM, the Congress or the Aam Aadmi Party, they're all thick as thieves, and that's why one can't question the another, because it's happening in every opposition ruled state. The process is compromised, education system is compromised, and there is no accountability. They are running away from answers while the students are protesting, raising generous and genuine demands. the opposition is silent on it. But when it was about the center, the politics was out in the open. We will continue to track, but for now, thank you so much, Lalit. Shifting our focus to our biggest exclusive on the Air India story, Republic super exclusive, the entire Air India 300 feet drop explained why it happened. The report reveals stunning onboard failures by Air India maintenance. Remember, these are the details which are coming in after the 300 feet drop was visible, was reported in the Phuket to Delhi flight. The report accessed by your channel tells you how many warning signs were there. There were 13 to 11 messages that were triggered in just 120 seconds. So it was already there. The pilot had failed the dope test. These are the reports that are coming in. The Air India has failed to determine any genuine test done so far on the pilot. Why wasn't it there? These are the warning signs that we have for you. Look at these messages that were generated in just 120 seconds. We're also being joined by J. Venkateshwara Rao, former General Secretary, Air India cabin. Thank you so much, sir, for speaking to us. Tell us in, a layman's term, what these warnings mean for us. If I am sitting on a flight and I see the crew panicking out and the flight is dropping 300 feet, what does it tell about the safety that is up for toss now? There is no passenger safety that has been put in place by Air India. This was a complete failure by them.
See, the messages on the ICAS that have come out, which you are mentioning, these are all malfunctioning in the equipment on the aircraft. There was, in a span of that 120 or 140 seconds, there was 3 hydraulic failures, there were many other failures, there was a door warning, emergency door warning sign. So all these came on simultaneously. Then they needed attention, but however, the pilot, as we've heard, was not in a state of mind to address that. And the co-pilot took over and he done what he had to do. But then this only reflects the lapses that are taking place, and the DGCA is supposed to monitor the maintenance of the aircrafts. In fact, recently, I think you all had done a story where the MRO of Air India, the engineers were on strike because Air India was taking people on contract who had no experience. But then so be that as it may, what this factors in is that the pilot is there to take care of these emergencies. But if that is not done and the pilot is not in a state of mind to do his job, then it is a very unfortunate situation. That's all we can say. And yes, pilots, the passengers are worried, but then it is part of the aviation.
Right, and so we have talked about the lapses that were there in this operation of the flight. Let's talk about the solution that can be given now. What can the DGCA do? Shouldn't there be, I would say, a ban on consuming drugs if you're a pilot, if you're a co-pilot who are responsible for the safety of 300 passengers? I think the rules need to change. Air India should ban any kind of consuming of drugs or anything that will jeopardize the safety of so many passengers.
Ma'am, see, the company can only issue notices. But at the end of the day, it is for the pilot to decide that he should not be taking drugs, or if he's under the influence, he should not report for a flight. You see, that is there. You can ban many things, but that doesn't mean people will not do it. So where is the deterrent? There is no deterrent. What does the DGCA do? DGCA says, FAA follows this, EASA follows that. So we are following the same thing. But where does it say that you can't have stringent measures? Where does it say that you can't take stricter action than the other airlines?
Right.
Why should somebody be given a first chance and a second chance and a third chance to repeat the same offense?
Absolutely.
So that is what is being done. Have you seen any pilot either under the influence of alcohol or of anything ever being penalized? I have reports where the DGCA has said that pilots are fudging their medical reports. But what did the DGCA do? Nothing. So the DGCA, basically your problem lies with the DGCA. The regulator, if the regulator is not regulating, this is bound to happen.
Absolutely.
I was on another show where one of the gentlemen said, but we come from the public, so there will be a little bit of corruption. If the regulator says he is going to indulge in corruption, then I have nothing to say. Then there is nothing left to say. The regulator is supposed to be above board.
Absolutely, sir.
But then
Very
that is not
serious
happening.
point, raised by you. We don't need toothless organizations anymore in this country. 14 people sustained injuries, and if the DGCA is giving out such statements that, we can't do penalizing, we will de-roster you, but there should be a certain and a definite solution to this. I say pilots should be banned from consuming alcohol, consuming marijuana, or maybe some other solution that will ensure that if I sit on a plane next time, my pilot is not under some influence of some prescribed medicines or some alcohol that he consumed 2 days before.
No, I agree. Ma'am, like I said, you can place a ban, but it has to be followed by people. There has to be a regulatory authority to see that it is not being violated. Like I said, the regulator is complicit, the regulator is complicit. And I make these statements with full responsibility. I have exposed so many violations, but then the DGCA was sleeping over it. It is with the horse's blinkers. What do we do? There's nothing. Like today, the crew, in fact, the first officer and the crew, when they saw the captain in such a situation, they should have refused to operate the flight from Phuket itself. But they haven't done that, so they are equally culpable for what has happened. They are my fraternity. I mean, I care for them. But then if they don't care for their own lives, then what do we do? Let us say this aircraft had crashed today.
Absolutely.
Those crew would have lost their lives because they kept quiet.
Absolutely. It was a suicide mission.
Yes, so you see, the thing is, we have introduced, the DGCA introduced a course called CRM, which is Crew Resource Management, where illegal instructions given by a higher authority need not be followed. But then who does it? Everybody is scared. You open your mouth, you're terminated. You open your mouth, you're suspended. You open your mouth, you're victimized. So that is how the system works. The DGCA is the most complicit regulator. That is all I can say.
Sir, very valid points raised by you. Time for no toothless organization to function, time for more stricter punishment, time for reviewing of DGCA's functioning, time for Air India to be held accountable till the top position, I would say. Not just this de-rostering of the pilot or reviewing if there was a dope test done probably in a right manner or a wrong manner. But I would say if there are so many lapses coming in, 300 feet the plane is going down, 14 passengers, 17 passengers sustaining injuries, you can't silence them just by compensation, just by telling them that we have de-rostered the pilots. And this is happening after we saw Air India crashing in Gujarat, where several of them died. One lucky passenger got away. This time, it could have been worse. It was a suicide mission. And I would say time is up for DGCA, for Aviation Ministry as well. Mr. Ramon Naidu, if you are also watching this broadcast, we will ask you to get the biggest proposal out there to review all the safety standards. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. We have more breaking inputs coming in. A major panic unfolded on board a Delhi to Pune SpiceJet flight. We are also giving you more details, I beg your pardon, on the same story. We have Air India pilot took cabin crew to party during Phuket layover. Okay, more chilling details are coming in, viewers, right now. The Phuket to Delhi flight, why did that 300 feet drop happen? It happened because Air India pilot took cabin crew to party during the layover in Phuket. Crew member allegedly complained of pilot smoking pot on aircraft. The Air India pilot did this before the flight was supposed to take over. In less than 24 hours, the marijuana or drugs were consumed by the pilot. And then the pilot had reportedly reprimanded the cabin crew member after she struggled to handle the pilot's seat when asked to occupy it while he briefly went to the bathroom. These are the chilling details, and we also have Venkateshwara Rao still with us. Sir, we were discussing about what is wrong with pilot. Now we have more chilling and surprising details coming in. There's a party that is happening. Pilot is going to a party, smoking pot, and he then has to fly over that Phuket to Delhi flight. But look at the callousness or the seriousness of the pilot or the cabin crew themselves. I think the whole cabin crew is responsible over here, not just the pilot or the co-pilot. And the co-pilot, very bravely of him, he managed to land the flight safely.
Madam, I would simply say test everybody for the dope test. Take even the cabin crew, and if they are they have consumed the substance, then they will have to face the heat and the flux. You know, you can't be doing something like that. And this is the biggest problem.